Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Gaming Lounge Podcast, episode 104. Once again, I'm your host, Sebastian, and as always, I'm joined by Dory. How you doing, Dory?
Hello, my fellow Chooms. You are in for some preem podcasting ahead from yours truly and my absolutely Nova co-host, Seb. Make sure to tell all your Choombas to like and subscribe so you can support us here at the Gaming Lounge. Now let's delta from this intro and get down to biz before I zero you gonks with my iron. That's right. I just decided to make my intro as much Cyberpunk slang as I could because I am utterly obsessed with Cyberpunk slang. I love it a lot. It's very preem, as V would say. But yeah, we're going to talk about a lot this week because we switched to an every other week model, as you all might have noticed. So there's so much to tackle because holy shit, did a lot happen in 2 weeks. We're going to be talking about a bunch of news items. First off, the Steam Machine price actually happened, so we'll discuss that. Xbox had some studio closures, unfortunately, as well as price increases. Seb got the Steam controller, so he's going to be talking about that. And we got some spotlights, which include Lego Batman and Elliot, which just came out. Elliot, the Millennium Tales, I want to say. And of course, I'm going to be talking about Cyberpunk 2077, which I just played for the first time.
All right, so let's start off with some negative news. Unfortunately, there's been a lot of layoffs and a lot of pricing issues, and RAM Apocalypse continues on, is worse as ever, but it's hitting Xbox the most right now. Obviously, as everybody knows, Asha took over. We talked about that many times, and it's biggest news. She took over, and when someone takes over, they gotta change everything up. Restructure, cut things that are not working out, and that's unfortunately leads to people getting their jobs taken away, or people lose their jobs, and companies get shut down, and then usually they focus on like the bigger stuff that makes more money, and that's essentially what's going on with Xbox. They're focusing more on Halo, Fallout, and Elder Scrolls, which is their big IPs, and they're closing down the smaller games, the smaller studios. They make the smaller games that were meant for Game Pass, right? And that includes Compulsion Games, Double Fine, and Ninja Theory. So, what was your first reaction to the news of those three studios being closed down potentially?
Yeah, I mean, we had, I think, either privately or publicly on the podcast talked about how we wouldn't be surprised if something happened to Double Fine at some point. I recall us saying something along those lines the past month or something like that. Ninja Theory was a big surprise for me. I felt like Ninja Gaiden 4 was a great return to form for them. I'm not sure how it did sales wise, but quality wise, I felt like it was a solid installment in the franchise. I don't think any hardcore Ninja Gaiden fans were like, "Oh, this is the best one in the series," but I think everybody felt like this was a step up from what had happened before. With, am I? Is Ninja Theory not the Ninja Theory is the people who do Ninja Gaiden, right? Or Ninja Theory is Senua,
No,
right?
that's Team Ninja. Ninja Theory does
That's Team
Hellblade.
Ninja. Sorry, I get Ninja Theory and Team Ninja mixed up all the time. I can't imagine why. Sorry.
Yeah, Ninja Theory did Hellblade. They did Heavenly Sword. They did that DMC reboot where they changed Dante's character, which is actually a solid game.
And he threw the wig.
But people hate it.
Yeah. I can't imagine why. So let me revise what I said. Double Fine still the same. But Ninja Theory, yeah, I mean, I wasn't super. I guess I was a mix, right? Because I knew that the second game, Senua Saga, didn't land for a lot of people. Ironically, I liked it more than most, I think, but I didn't think it was amazing. Even then, I didn't think it was amazing or anything.
Yeah.
And then what was the third one? Combustion Games, right?
Compulsion.
There's too many cool names for studios. But yeah, they did. What did they do? We Happy Few, right? Did they do that?
They did We Happy Few. They did that game Contrast, and then Contrast, and then they did South of Midnight.
That's right, and South of Midnight was their big one. I liked South of Midnight, but it wasn't anything amazing. They were kind of like a studio that was just. I'm kind of quoting somebody else, but they were just making these kind of like decent to solid, like mixed bag games, but really like creative, like lots of intense creative passion. I feel like that's something we really need in the games industry, but unfortunately it's a very hostile place to be in right now. I was a little surprised about that because I felt like South of Midnight was a generally successful game, at least critically. I'm not saying it was like a masterpiece, but generally people were happy with it. It got, I believe, some nominations from BAFTA, and the representation was handled very well. I loved the story and the animation. So yeah, I feel like Double Fine was the least biggest surprise here, unfortunately. I think it's important to say also that nothing's been super finalized. A lot of these teams are trying to negotiate their independence, like Toys for Bob did recently with Xbox. Which, oh boy, now that we're looking back at it, they really dodged a bullet, right? Um, but yeah, I mean, it's a bummer. I say whatever you want about Senua Saga or anything like that. It's a real bummer that this is happening. I really liked Keeper. I thought it was a great game, with a really strong artistic vision. Double Fine are such an important studio in the industry, and the work they do is really cool. I mean, they've been around the longest by far, I think, out of all three studios, right? Since the 90s. So yeah, it would be a huge loss if they close, but it's important to note I don't think any of them have officially closed. I think they're in negotiations with Xbox to go independent, or retain their independence, so that way they don't get closed and they can just be, you know, they could be separate from Xbox and do their own thing, which I think would be great. I want all three of these studios to stay. I like all three studios. I think I'd be the most heartbroken if Double Fine closed, which is funny because I didn't care about Kiln. Like, I'd never played it. It didn't appeal to me. But I would be super sad because, like I said, they have a very important part to play in this industry with really creative, kind of ironically double A kind of games or indie games.
Yeah, I'd be very sad if Double Fine gets closed down. I'm a big fan of Tim Schafer and his staff, and I really enjoy most of their games. But unfortunately, their games don't really sell very well. And the sad thing is, the honest, practical thing in the industry too is you got to make games that sell too. Like you can't just make games based on vibes and stay in business. At the end of the day, it's a business, and if your game doesn't sell very well, I mean, people need to get paid. Your business needs money to keep it rolling, and that, unfortunately, Double Fine, as I've said in the past, of all the studios that I'd be the most worried about, it would be Double Fine, right? Because Kilm is not going to move the needle for anything, and
No.
no one bought it, really. So, and the same thing with South of Midnight. South of Midnight cost $100 million to make, and it only sold 500,000 copies. So
Oh, I didn't even know that.
and
That's
it
horrible.
took them 5 years to make it. So it
Oh
just
man.
bled money completely.
Yeah.
So it
And I mean, We Happy
yeah,
Few had notoriously had a lot of issues at
yes,
launch, didn't sell super well, very
yes,
mixed critical reception. Yeah, for sure. I think it's a ruthless industry right now.
sure,
I totally agree. Like, logically, like, you're in a business, like, you got to sell games, and it's unfortunate because I think I was talking about this with some friends on a Discord server like last week or whatever, whenever this stuff started happening. But basically, like, a lot of studios are in a place where they have to spend millions and millions of dollars to make a game because it has to be up to these ridiculous expectations that the games industry has, like, put into these studios for 10 years now, since like at least 2014, if not earlier. And then they've got to produce it over like 3 to 4 years, if not more, right? In the case of South of Midnight, and then it's got to sell gangbusters, or else, right, they close. I just think there's a lot of unfair, unrealistic expectations in the games industry right now. That's not to say that devs can never make a mistake or they can never do wrong, or some of this wasn't horrible mismanagement. I'm sure there's some fault to go with the devs, but I do think the industry as a whole really has to check itself on the way it's working right now because it feels really unsustainable. But
yeah,
yeah, I agree. I agree with what you're saying. At the end of the day, like, it's a business. You got to sell copies. Like, it's a bummer because I think Double Fine has such a strong artistic vision.
yeah.
The same thing with Compulsion, but
Same
yeah,
thing with
it's just not going to do it.
Ninja Theory, Hellblade 2.
Yeah,
Hellblade 2 was supposed to launch with the Series X, and it took years after to come out, and it took
yeah,
them a long time to make that game, and you could tell how expensive that game was as well, and then for
yes,
the most part, people were disappointed with it, and it was only a 6 to 8 hour game.
yep,
It was supposed to be like a game of the year contender. It was supposed to be like a game changer. Like, the way it was hyped and the way it was shown, people were like,
yes.
it was supposed to be God of War level. Like, oh my god,
It
look how
looks
cool
so
this is.
cool.
Yeah,
I was so impressed by the trailers. I thought it looked so cool and so hype. But as more trailers went on, I was like, they're not really showing us that much, and
yeah,
it kept getting delayed, like you said. And once you actually play it, I mean, I thought it was a pretty good game, but
yeah,
not anywhere GOTY contender, and certainly not
yeah.
something that I think, like you said, Xbox wanted to position this game as a flagship franchise and something that was going to
Yeah.
save the brand, right? Not something they said, but the vibes kind of it gave off,
Yeah.
and that just wasn't going to happen.
But I don't entirely blame these studios as well because Microsoft allowed them to work on these games for years and spend all this
Yeah,
money. It was bad management. And the idea for Game Pass with Phil Spencer was to have smaller games like this, not so much Hellblade, but like the other ones, to pad Game Pass's catalog and like to oh Game Pass, you're not gonna get a AAA game every month, but hey, you're getting all these smaller games that we own, right? And it was like to keep
right,
people constantly playing a game, and keep staying subscribed. But the problem was, even on Game Pass, people could play South of Midnight for free with their subscription. They didn't play it. The game barely got anyone playing it. And a lot of people didn't play Kiln. A lot of people didn't play a lot of games. Double
yeah,
Fine's most successful game, Psychonauts 2, was still not like a big game. It wasn't. It wasn't like a monument. Like it's probably the most popular one, but it wasn't monumental or anything like that. So
right,
the idea of what Game Pass was, we're gonna make all these smaller games and have a consistent catalog of games, smaller ones, and then we'll have our AAA games here and there as well. But people were not playing the smaller games even for free. I mean, it's
yeah,
not really free; it's a subscription. But you get what I'm saying. It was meant
yeah,
to
yeah,
be
yeah.
that. So the Game Pass. So my question is is Game Pass a problem for Microsoft at this point? Like, it's good for consumers still, especially because they decreased the
Right.
price. But I'm talking about from a business standpoint, is it hurting Microsoft at this point? I don't
I
know.
mean, I think at business point, all these streaming services are hurting these companies more than they're helping, right? I mean, Netflix keeps jumping up the prices. All these companies keep jumping up the price. Hulu and HBO Max had an increase, I think.
Yeah, and then I think in
They're just
Spotify, I don't think artists get paid properly or whatever, right?
yeah, that's been a problem for a while now. It's one of the reasons I don't use Spotify. But yeah, it's really frustrating, and it's a general issue with Netflix. Like, if I didn't split, I know this is a tangent, but if I didn't split Netflix with Kim, I wouldn't pay for it, right? Because it's like 18.99 for the premium no ads tier, right? Which is ridiculous. But because we split it, it's like $9 a month, right? Which I can definitely do. It's not the same exactly as Game Pass because I pay like 11.99 or whatever it is right now. Um, but I have a good amount of games on it that I really
Yeah,
like and still want to play and
it
stuff like that. Plus
yeah,
the day one
it's
releases.
perfect for
But
you.
but right, like you're saying, I was gonna say that like it's great for me, but I don't think it's making any money at this point. Like I used to be super high on Game Pass, thought it was the best thing ever, and wondered how it couldn't be successful for Xbox because of how just universally beloved it was by
Yeah,
consumers. But I mean, sometimes love doesn't make you money, right? So it's like no matter how beloved it is by consumers, it's just
yeah,
not adding up to the amount of money they're losing by putting stuff on Game
sure.
Pass, right?
Right.
So
I think they're making profit off Game Pass itself, but I don't think they're making
yeah.
money off when they put the game day one on there. Like it's hurting the game.
Mm,
So the service itself is doing decently well. When they decreased the price, it actually the subscriptions went up. So it actually benefited them that they went back to like the price it is now, right? Which is a way better
right.
price than $30. Because people that's
Yes.
how people think. When people see like $30 for a month, then people start going, "Oh my god, that's a lot of money. I don't know if I can keep doing that." When it's like
Yeah.
20 something,
Yeah.
you can start making a case a little more. Oh, it's not too bad, you know. It only
Yeah.
takes a couple of dollars for people to flip out. Um, so I think Game Pass itself is profitable for them, or they wouldn't do it anymore, obviously. But I think it hurts the
Right.
sales. Like they took Call of
Yeah.
Duty off Game Pass for a reason.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I noticed that too. I mean, I think in general, the past 2 weeks, we're not going to cover all of it, but just has been an absolute bloodbath for like studio closures. Like
Yeah.
I know Mio, the studio behind Mio, Memories in Orbit just closed.
Yes.
There's the Bungie just had a ton of layoffs. Like I think almost like 1/3 of their staff or something like that just
Yes.
got laid off. It is like I said, we don't have the space or the time to properly cover all this. But Xbox is not alone. Like this has been an absolute bloodbath of a couple of weeks where we just
Yeah.
decided
And
not
it
to not
yeah.
to really record.
And it stems from COVID because when
Yes.
COVID happened, everybody was playing games and staying home, and all these companies just hired so many people and started all these studios and started all these game ideas, and now everything's back to normal in terms of there's no COVID or anything, so like
Yeah.
we don't need all these people anymore. So
They
they laid
have
off.
these COVID-esque expectations when we're not trapped in our homes anymore, and we haven't been for like
Yeah,
conservatively like 4 years, right?
yeah, yeah,
It's just not, the finances aren't there anymore,
yeah.
and it's been, again, this isn't like a pylon on Xbox. Like Sony, it's been disastrous for them, for all the
Everywhere.
studios,
Yeah,
they not all the studios, but most of the studios that they
the
grabbed
live
as
service.
well,
Yeah.
closing and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, Bungie was already a mess when Sony should have never
Yes.
bought them. They really, Bungie had the CEO like buying, what was he buying yachts and stuff, and they were all having management issues. Like
Yep.
the guy was a scumbag, and Sony should have never touched them. But that doesn't excuse Sony either, because they've mismanaged all their other studios, making everybody do live service, and that led to several closures of their own studios, including Blue Point, which is a big loss. And then Japan studio got closed down. Technically they're still around. They became Team Asobi, which makes Astrobot, but they're
Right.
not making other games besides Astrobot. So, at least that we know of. So yeah, I mean, I again, I can see it's a nuance, right? You gotta have nuance with it. Like Bungie was mismanaged, like anyway, right? Like Sony
Sure. Absolutely.
let them be independent for the most part, and then they just been a mess, and Marathon just didn't hit. But Sony's has been bad too. So it's Xbox, Sony, all of them are. The only one that's doing well is Nintendo, because
Yeah.
they're still
They reported like a 10%
yeah,
increase in their retention or something like that,
yeah,
which is just unheard of in the games industry. I mean, there are absolutely problems in the work culture of Japan, but retention is not really one of them, because there's like an
yeah,
honor system and a senpai system and stuff like that. So there, and there's loyalty and
yeah,
stuff like that. So there, it's just a different culture, which has its own positives and negatives. But one of the positives is that a lot less people are going to get laid off and are
yeah,
going to quit, right? So
yeah.
it's
But
different there.
right, but it's also because their games don't cost a ton of money to make like these other companies are doing. I mean, some of these games are 500 million to $1 billion to make. I mean, I think GTA. People say what GTA 6 cost like 2 billion or 1 billion to make or whatever. I mean,
Yeah,
that
it's got
game
to be in the billions.
that will make it up. But other games are like 500 million and they take 7 years to make, and then the game's not a big seller. I mean, that was
Yeah,
another problem with Xbox. I mean, Xbox makes a AAA game. It takes them 7 years to make it. But guess what? It's day one on Game Pass. People are gonna buy it day one. No, they're just gonna subscribe to Game Pass, play it, beat it, unsubscribe. So, how do you make your money doing that?
yeah,
That's my question.
it's not sustainable.
Yeah.
I also want to say, like, at this point, and we talked about this before, a couple weeks ago, but like the exclusives aren't going to save Xbox either, right?
Hmm.
And it's them being everywhere hurt them too. And like the whole rampocalypse that's happening, which we'll talk about a little bit later with the Steam machine,
Yeah.
which has been, mostly caused by the generative AI BS, is causing like any future console or hardware and in general idea to be like ridiculous from Xbox in this hostile market, right? I
Yeah.
mean, consumers from them don't have anything hardware to look forward to, which the thing is, like, Xbox
Mm.
has these awesome showcases that Seven I love like every single year, not all the time, but usually when they do their big ones, they're really
The
good, right?
last
The
like
past
four
couple
years,
years.
4 years in a row, I think they've
Yeah.
been the best.
Yeah. And but it's like, but there's nothing behind them. It's like the fucking Wizard of Oz, right? From the Wizard of
Well,
Oz. Like
yeah.
there's
For
nothing there. There's they don't want you to look behind the curtain, because behind the
right.
curtain is like Asha randomly hitting really big buttons, and it's like,
Yeah.
okay, maybe this will fix it.
For the hardware for sure. Like I view the Xbox
Yeah.
show as a Steam catalog show, because everyone's gonna buy them all on
Yes.
Steam or
Yeah.
Game Pass catalog. Um, but yeah, you're 100% right. Like these companies are not going to release their consoles anytime soon. I think this generation is going to be longer than previous generations. I don't expect to see consoles until 2028, 2029 at the earliest. And the RAM apocalypse, as you said, is going to be ridiculously high. Now, we'll talk about the Steam machine later, but
Yeah.
just because the Steam Machine is like that expensive doesn't mean the consoles are, because the consoles have a whole different market and they have a
That's
better
true.
partnership with the you know the
Distributors,
manufacturers and stuff like that.
manufacturers. Yep.
So like they can subsidize much easier than Valve can. Valve is a small company in comparison to everybody
Yeah,
else.
that's
So
true.
I don't think the new PS6 is going to be $1,400 like that. That's not going to happen. But is
No,
it?
I wouldn't think that either.
But
I
is
still
it
think it's going to be out
eight
of
hundred,
out
eight
of
hundred?
reach for some
It's going
folks,
to be
but
eight
yeah,
hundred, 900. I think.
yeah.
I don't.
God.
I can't see the
Um,
consoles being over $1,000. I just think that's a killer for a console because it's a different
yeah,
market. The PC gamers are more willing to spend money, but
yeah.
console gamers, no.
Yeah, you're gonna see us do a lot of complaining later about the Steam Machine and its price, and especially for me. But I mean, end of the day, the thing's gonna sell out in milliseconds.
Yeah, we'll talk about
Um,
that. But yeah,
the
so
last
go ahead.
the last thing I want to talk about too is just some reckless speculation, right? I think with this whole Xbox mess, because it's been going on for a couple of weeks now, maybe almost a month. I honestly wouldn't be surprised, and again, this is based on nothing, right? But this is something. Well, it's based on something. It's like a trend in corporate culture and corporations in general to kind of like get rid of the leadership that's in place, replace it with someone, sometimes like a woman or a person of color or whatever, have them do a lot of like the really evil shit, like in terms of like cutting, laying people off and cutting studios and whatever is appropriate. Then have them kind of take the fall for it and then like move leadership on. Like Asha does not have, I'm not speaking of Asha as a person, right? I'm speaking of her as like a businesswoman, a CEO or whatever. Like she has no real ties to the video game industry,
She doesn't play video
generally
games.
speaking.
She doesn't play games at
Yeah.
all.
So I think and again, this is reckless speculation, but I think ultimately Asha probably could just leave, pass it off to someone who's more in the industry, and say, "Oh, we're gonna rehire some of those people." They'll do some like PR moves or whatever, right? Not necessarily that,
Yeah,
maybe, but they'll do something to like win some goodwill back and be like, "Oh, Asha, did this and that, but we're gonna."
yeah,
It's just Xbox is in a mess right now. Like
sure.
they have such good IPs and they have so many things from them I'm looking forward to, but I have no interest in a console from them. I have no interest in a portable system from them. Like Seb said, I basically treat it like a Steam demo or preview selection of trailers or whatever. I mean, the most I interact with them is Game Pass, but it's on PC, right?
Yeah.
So it's just a mess. But anyway, that's all I had to say.
I don't think they're gonna remove her. I think she's there to be like the practical one. I think they're done with the Phil Spencer kumbaya. Let's be kumbaya with everybody, and all
Yeah,
play games together. Like that's done. I think Sony and Xbox have changed from their strategies because of the Rampocalypse, and then like they have their own audience now. They had just how like we just have to buckle down with our own audience and sell stuff to our audience that we already have. We're not getting anyone new anymore. No one's buying any new consoles. May was the worst month ever for Xbox. Like, I mean, in the history of Xbox, they've sold less consoles in May. PlayStation had
yeah,
had his worst year in worst month in 25 years, and Nintendo has been on a decline after the first 6 months of the Switch 2. No one's buying new consoles really. I mean, there are people buying it, but I'm saying like nobody in the
yeah,
general sense,
relatively.
relatively. And I think Asha's there to be like she started off with the goodwill and then to set everybody up for the bad stuff, and now she's in the
Yeah,
now they're cutting everything now, and it makes sense on their end. I'm not just as simple as every layoff and cut doesn't make sense. It's not fair. Like I get the business side of it, but I tend to go with the more human side. I feel bad for everybody, of course, but
yeah,
I,
for
I
sure.
do get it. And I don't. But as you said, I don't think the exclusives are going to move the needle. I don't. I think changing Gears Award to exclusive was a last minute decision. They say it wasn't, but I don't believe that. I do think
I
that
don't
was a
believe it
last
either.
minute decision. I don't think it's going to do anything. I don't think people are going to buy an Xbox, especially now where they increased the prices. The Series X is now $800, so I don't for the highest one. So I don't expect people to buy a new Xbox. I don't think that's going to do anything. I don't think Clockwork Revolution is going to be a giant seller on
No.
Xbox. Like,
I'm really excited for it, but there's no way
yeah,
that it
so I don't think that's gonna do
because
anything.
Xbox at this point needs like a miracle. It needs
Yeah.
somehow to reproduce what they were doing in the 2000s, and I
Yeah.
just don't think they've got the stuff for that anymore.
I agree with the exclusives in principle, but they're not in that situation right now because the consoles have not sold well. They're in a corner, and
Yeah.
I'm of the belief that they're better off just putting all their games on everywhere and making as much money as possible. I think
Yeah.
that's not it's really what they're in. We talked about this already, but they're in a lose-lose situation. I don't think there's a great
Yes.
solution for them, but I think the best worst scenario is to just put everything on everything and make them as much money as
Yeah,
possible.
because you and I have both said like the Xbox being everywhere thing kind of watered down their message and it didn't really feel right and made Xbox feel less necessary for the overall like health of the industry and stuff like that.
Yeah,
But at the end of the day, it's still the better choice. Like because
yeah,
like you said, no one's buying hardware
sure.
and these exclusives aren't going to move the needle. No one's
Plus,
buying a
yeah,
$700 $800 console. And I mean
and it's six
nobody
years old,
relatively
and it's 6 years old.
and it's 6 years old for a fucking Gears of War prequel. So I'm just
Yeah.
sorry, no one's gonna.
Plus, if Helix is a PC hybrid and that thing is like $1,200, no one's buying a new Helix for $1,200. Like in
No,
the grand scheme, I mean like the casual audience. Like
right,
that's the people that make the money.
sure,
The enthusiasts will buy it, I'm sure, but I'm talking about like the people where you make your money on. They're not buying that for $1,200.
yeah,
So what's exclusive? Who's buying these games exclusively? I don't. We'll see. Maybe I'm wrong and they sell. So, but I think we talked about it enough, right? You ready to move on?
yeah, we're good.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about some Steam news now. Some good, some bad, some mixed overall. But let's talk about the Steam controller. Now, the Steam controller I finally got. Now, before I even get into the review of it, just I'll tell my story of what happened with me. Is the day they released the purchase, like where you can buy it, I was like there. I was at work in class, but I had downtime, and all I had to do was hit the buy button. It would took me like 30 seconds normally, right? It would not let me buy it. It was just error, 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 error. I had to refresh, 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 and people were like at their computer refreshing the page for like an hour to get it. Some people stayed patient and kept doing it and finally got through, but for the most part, people were left very disappointed. And Valve themselves came out and said, "Sorry, we don't have enough stock. We're gonna start a reservation system, and all you have to do is sign up for that, and you'll get your controller." So I waited. I think it was like the week after or whatever. I was on the bus on a field trip, and I was able to do it on my phone, and I did it like right on the dot. So it was like I think it was like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, like right on the dot. I was put on the reservation system. That was like May 8th, and then I got the controller like the middle of June. So it was like a month I had to wait. And I got people were getting their emails, so I was like, did I do something wrong? I'm not getting why am I not getting these emails? Then I just randomly got it. Hey, you can buy it now. So I bought it. It was $100. And yeah, I finally have it. It's right here on camera for people listening. It's
Ooh,
it's a really nice controller. It really is a end game controller if you're a PC gamer. I would only recommend this controller if you play Steam, like for the strong majority of the time. This is purely for Steam. Obviously it's a Steam controller. Like you could use it on Game Pass or like GOG or Epic Game Store or something like that, but this is purely a Steam thing. I wouldn't bother. I would just play with Xbox controller, which works really well with PC in general anyway. All right, so right off the bat, it looks chunky. So, I mean, it is chunky in the way it looks, but it is actually relatively light. It doesn't feel heavy. It doesn't. You would think it's like an Xbox, the original Xbox controller, where it's really the Duke is really
yeah,
heavy.
I
No,
remember
this
those.
is really light. It feels very comfortable in my hand. I, it, I mean, I get everybody's hands are different. For me, I'm able to grip the back buttons and everything perfectly fine. My thumbs can the sticks are in the middle. They're more in the middle, and I'm able to jump back and forth between the mouse pad tracking pads and the sticks. So if you really like the Steam Deck, you're gonna love this because this is obviously based on the Steam Deck. Like it's almost identical. The buttons are identical. The way they feel are identical. The pads are identical. everything is identical. Everything's like pushed to the edge of the controller. It's a Steam Deck put into a controller. The trackpads are phenomenal. You can use it as a mouse. You can actually play first-person shooters with the with the pads, and it plays really well. So you don't have it's
Nice.
and you can use it as a mouse on your computer. So you can like use the cursor and just move things around, and click on things with your controller. So it basically turns your it basically makes your mouse and keyboard obsolete if you don't want to use it at all and just want to use your controller. Now it's basically a mouse and keyboard and a controller all in one. All right, it has four buttons on the back and pretty standard now for a lot of PC controllers. And they've played really well. The integration with Steam is fantastic. Like I may always make this button to be the back button to be take pictures. If I want screenshots, I just hit this button, boom. So it integrates with Steam perfectly. It has TMR thumbsticks, which basically just means magnetic thumbsticks. They don't get drift at all, and they feel really nice to use, in my opinion. It comes with the puck, which looks like this. It's a little USB-C transmitter. You use it to charge your controller, but it also has its own wireless frequency, which works much better than the typical Bluetooth. Like when you play with Xbox controller, you connect it with Bluetooth. This has its own transmitter, so you get like way less latency issues. I only have like no issues at all, really. Like runs perfectly with mine. And I think it's pretty. You can play pretty far away too, and it works great. I mean, I play right at my desk, so it really is a really cool design. The only thing I would say is be careful. Do not put this near anything metallic near this because this will short circuit and catch on fire. I've heard stories where people's pucks got caught on fire, but that's a given. You don't put metal near magnets, so that's just don't do that. You'll be fine. It has the touchpads as I talked about. It has the 6-axis gyro controls, and I told you I already talked about the mouse and keyboard. It has 15 to 22 hours of gameplay on a single charge, which is amazing. It also preserves the battery by keeping it at 80%. So if you leave it charging full at 80%, it stops charging because obviously you hurt your battery if you keep fully charging your devices. So at 80% automatically stops, which is more than enough gameplay. No one's playing games for 15 hours at their desk. Usually anyway. The only thing is it's very plastic. Now that's like a pro and a con because it feels nice and everything, but some people prefer the rubber grips on their controllers. Like when I have my Xbox Elite controller, like right here, like this is like the best Xbox controller. I mean, it has its issues, but like it feels premium. It feels like, extremely nice to hold. Like this feels more nice to hold than the Steam controller, especially the grips. So nice, but this is like if you're a PC gamer and you play on Steam, this is an end game controller. This is a controller that's gonna last you like 10 years. Like it's that good. It's like the Switch Pro controller, how good that is. The Switch 2 Pro controller is amazing too. It's this. This is an end game controller for PC gamers. When it's more available, I recommend everybody get one. If you play on Steam, just be mindful. It is plastic at the end of the day. It's like a standard Steam controller. It's not an elite controller. There's controllers that do more features. It's like a middle tier. It's like between the highest end of controllers, but it's better than like a PlayStation or Xbox controller. So it's a mid tier, but 100. I think that's why I said that before. I think $100 is a fair price for this specific controller. A little expensive but like maybe $85 would have been better or 90 or something. But whatever. No one's gonna get that upset over $10. And finally, as I said, use it for Steam only. So like if you're expecting to use this for everything, it's not that. But yeah, it's a fantastic controller. It's almost a must. It's pretty much a must buy. Of the Steam frame, the Steam machine, and the Steam controller, this is probably the best deal out of the three, and you'll really love this one. I think I would recommend this one, where I wouldn't recommend the other two, unless you're like to only a specific audience. This one I would recommend to a lot of people. Any questions, Dory, about the controller?
No, I mean, I guess my biggest question is just like, would you recommend it to me? Do you think it's worth the
Yes.
price?
Yes and yes.
Okay. Wow. We've solved everything today. Thanks for coming, everybody.
Well,
Have a good night.
well, I already explained why the price is good because it's a mid tier.
Yeah, for sure.
It's better than a basic Xbox or PlayStation controller. which feel even more cheap plastic. No, I won't say cheap, but they feel a lot more plastic compared to this. But it's also it doesn't have as much features and it doesn't feel as high end as the other controllers, which have like a rubber grips and stuff. And this one doesn't have that. It feels like plastic. And then the other question was, would I recommend it for you? Of course, because you play on Steam like 90% of the time.
90%, yep,
And yeah,
conservatively.
this would be your end game controller. You would play this. You could use this controller for like
I think
10 years and be
I was
set.
thinking about this a couple months ago. Honestly, I think what I'll do is when I get some Steam gift cards for my birthday, which is coming up in a couple months, I'll like I don't know how the reservation system works. Is it still ongoing or is it
It's still
closed? I have
ongoing,
no
but they
idea.
already said if you didn't
Okay.
reserve it by now, you're not getting it until 2027.
Oh well, that's fine.
Yeah,
But maybe I can
that works for
put it
your
towards that.
time frame though.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I could see it as a December thing then and focus on games.
I would,
But
I
yeah,
would,
I think it looks like a
yeah,
quality, amazing product.
yeah,
And I'm glad you're enjoying it. It looks really fun.
yeah.
Looks like a good use of money. I mean, 100's a bit steep, but if you're getting that much packed into a controller, it seems like it could be worth it.
If it's your end game controller and it's gonna last you 10 years, $100 is nothing,
Yeah,
especially nowadays. And it was a smart move for them to release it before the Steam Machine and the frame because this doesn't require RAM and all that, so it was a good idea for them to get it out there. But yeah, I would definitely recommend it. I would, if I was you, I would reserve. I would sign up for the reserve now. You won't get it until next year,
yeah,
but like you at least be in the queue. The longer you take to put yourself in the queue, the longer it's gonna
okay.
take to
Yeah,
get. So I
makes
would
sense.
like today. I would straight up put your name in there.
Yeah, I'll look into it.
Yeah, and then they'll say you get an email they'll saying like you need to buy. You have 3 days to buy it, and then if you don't buy it, they take you out of the queue. All
Makes
right,
sense.
let's get into the next topic, which is the Steam Machine price reveal, which has been a big conversation, unfortunately. Big disappointment for a lot of people. Although I won't say the word disappointed for me because I expected that price. Unfortunately, we've talked about that. It would have been hugely disappointing if like I had no idea about the Rampocalypse and this happened in October, right when they first revealed it last year. But nowadays in this market, I get it. But let's get into it. So tech reviewers, there was a lot of rumors that Steam machines were out in the open and people were reviewing them and they were gearing up to sell them. And then all of a sudden in like the last week or so, all the YouTubers and tech reviewers were getting their hands on it and giving reviews and stuff like that. And they gave a lot of praise to the hardware. They're all saying it's beautifully designed, it's very small, compact. It's a 6-inch cube. It has AMD Zen 4 and RDNA 3 architecture, and it's like the people are disappointed with the specs in terms of like AAA space and the price and everything like that. But the actual box itself, people have praised it. Steam OS is fantastic. Is doing great in that regard, right? The problem was the elephant in the room is the price. It was expected for many people, but either way, when people finally saw it, they were shocked and disappointed, and the hype for this thing just died instantly. So the price of the Steam Machine, the 512 gigabyte model without a controller, you don't even get a controller, is $1,000, $1,049. The 512 gigabyte model with a controller is 1,128. The 2 terabyte model without a controller is $1,349, and then the 2 terabyte model with a controller is $1,428. That's even if you get it because you had to sign up. Like I signed up for it, and it's a lottery system. So some people were put on a wait list, and some people were put on the list to buy it. I was put on the list to buy it. So on Monday, I have the option to buy it or not if I want it. So I am one of those people that got picked to buy it, and other people got picked on the wait list. Who knows how long that's going to take? I expect months, unfortunately, if you're on the wait list, but we'll see. But yeah, people, including Dory, were speculating that this was going to be like $500 to $800 when it first got revealed, right? Like, oh, this is a great price.
Yeah,
This
when
is
it
gonna be
first got revealed,
yeah in
to be
October.
clear.
Yeah, in the 2025, it was like, oh yeah, this is going to be like $500, $600. It's going to be perfectly priced. It's going to compete with the consoles. Sony and Microsoft could be in trouble, that kind of thing. And no, unfortunately, Rampocalypse, even Valve themselves admitted to it. It was supposed to be 750. That was the original plan. But it was like there was no way this thing was going to be cheaper than the Steam Deck. That they just made $300 more.
Yeah.
So it's sad. It's unfortunate. But the thing is, it's the RAM is not going down anytime soon. This might be the norm, the new norm, unfortunately. But I've been talking enough. Dory, what was your initial reaction to the price reveal?
My favorite volleyball series is called Dead or Alive, and I want to say that this is also similarly Dead on Arrival. For me, anyway. Look, there are going to be enthusiasts. There are going to be people who are going to eat this up, and they are going to buy the shit out of this, and they're going to love it and have a great time with it to a limited extent.
Yeah.
I'm happy for them, but
Yeah.
this is just so far out of what I wanted. Like, I was willing to go 750. I would have been on the wait list immediately. But as we've said a million times, because of the Rampocalypse, because of how it works right now in the market, it just was never going to happen. I honestly would rather have, and I know this isn't realistic from a business perspective. This is me speaking as a consumer. I would rather have Valve just been honest and say, hey, market conditions are terrible right now. We are going to wait until things mildly stabilize so we can get that under $1,000 price model that we were originally targeting. And I'd be happy with that. But they were never going to do that. They want to release this thing. They want to get it out. They have the models. They have shipped them to a lot of warehouses. Like, they got to get them out or they're just
Yeah.
collecting dust,
They didn't
right?
have a choice. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're just, it's like, I was just gonna look this up, but this is not the first time Steam has released a console, right? They released something back in the 2010s.
Yeah. The
Um,
first Steam
uh,
machine. Yeah.
yeah, the first Steam
Big
machine,
failure.
which was huge failure 8 years ago. Now I don't think this is going to be like that because it's been 8 years. Steam is more popular than ever. PC building is more popular than ever. I'm not gonna say it's easier than ever because that's not true.
Yeah.
But it's a different world than it was 8 years ago for sure. I mean, almost a decade ago. But
100%.
I don't think this is going to do the numbers that Valve.
No.
I mean, I'm speculating, of course. I don't think this is going to do the numbers Valve wants it to do. I
No.
think, of course, it is going to sell out immediately. But upon subsequent releases of thousands upon thousands of models, hundreds of thousands, whatever the number
Yeah.
is, I think it's going to slow down tremendously because eventually you'll run out of that hardcore audience, and the casual audience
Oh.
will be like, what you're telling me is it's basically a less powerful PS5 for almost double the price.
Yeah.
Actually, one of them is double the price.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to be doing that.
Sure.
So
You're
it's
100%.
a very frustrating situation to be in. And for me personally, I was very excited about the Steam machine. This is something I would really love to have. I don't really use consoles anymore. I just am on my PC, but I love Steam. Obviously, I'm not saying it's a perfect storefront, but it's my storefront of choice. I think it's a lot of people's storefront of choice for good reason. Not just because it was like one of the first big ones. Obviously, that's a huge part of it, but that's not the only reason. I just think this is a massive blow. It really sucks because I never was one of the people who thought that Valve was going to like end Nintendo or end Sony or even touch them. But I thought that if they priced it right, they could have at least, and I know some of that's out of their hand and some of it is in their hand, right? Because they lack the distribution partners and manufacturer partners that Sony and Nintendo and Microsoft have, obviously. But at the same time, I think Gabe can like own a few less yachts, right? I feel like that could be a thing. But regardless, ultimately, right, they weren't going to subsidize it. We already knew that. They said that a couple of different times in interviews. It's just a really bad situation for Valve to be in. And so I think for the second time in a row, or second time, whatever you want to say, I think Valve is releasing a console, and it's just not going to go the way they want it for them.
Yeah.
I think it's going to go much better than it did last time because they're in a much better place than they were 8 years ago.
Yeah.
And the Steam machine is much more. I want to say it's a more viable alternative to having a PC and building one and stuff.
Sure.
That's what I would have if it was 750.
It's
But yeah, it's just a go ahead.
It's also because the original Steam machine was not even. They didn't make it. They used Alienware to make it. This is something they actually made themselves. It's just bad
Yeah.
timing. They got screwed
It's
by the
terrible timing.
Rampocalypse. Like
Yep.
750, not an incredible price, but definitely very fair.
Very, very doable. I
Yeah.
would have been on the list day one. I probably would have used like that PayPal once a month thing for it that I used for the Steam Deck. I mean, I would have been there day one.
Yeah.
But
100%.
to me, like, even aside from the price, right? The specs to me just can't justify like it can't justify like what you're spending here, right?
Mhm.
Because um there's like a bunch of stuff that's come out since they've released the price. Like for example, like you only originally Valve were saying some people might get 2 sticks of 8 gig grams, or you might get 1 stick of 16 gig. And I'm not sure of all the specifics, right? I'm not a huge computer person, but I think having the 2 sticks of 8 is better because you can always, well, if
Yeah.
you can modify it, you can slot one out and put in a 16, and then you have like
But
24 or whatever,
the
right?
problem, even then, it's going to be bottlenecked by its GPU and CPU. So you can put as much
For
RAM as you
sure.
want in there. It's not going to make a difference. But
But it's still the worst of two options, right? Because ultimately, because like we said, the Rampacalypse. So
yeah,
they're so instead they're doing just the 1 stick of 16 gigs, which I mean 16 gigs isn't terrible, but it is worse than
yeah,
what folks were hoping for.
yeah. So the reaction has been very negative, of course. First of all, like, Gabe could have less yachts, and like those. I don't. I know Valve is very popular and beloved by a lot of people, and I love Steam myself, obviously, but I'm still not like pro Steam or like all pro billionaires. Like Gabe is still a billionaire. Like a billionaire is still a billionaire, and they're still making. There's the whole point is to make money and profit. They don't care about the gamers and stuff like that. At the end of the day, it's about the dollar. And people get too fanboyish with their consoles and their companies, and it's like at the end of the day, you're just a number to them, and people need to remember that. But at the same time, my biggest blame is Gen AI, generative AI data centers. Those are the people that have caused this mess, and I don't know if the bubble is gonna burst, and if it does, I don't know if it's gonna change anything. This might be the norm for years, so
Yeah,
it's not a good time to get into hardware. So, in the sense of the market itself, it's definitely overpriced, but I get the price. You're more than less, you're getting a computer around the same price. Like there are people that's shown that you can build things that are that are more powerful and things like that. But I think the idea of the Steam machine that appeals to people is that you don't have to deal with all that. Because a lot of people just don't want to deal with buying hardware, putting it together. You can't go by PC fans because the most hardcore ones, because they're all about like, oh, the whole fun of PC gaming is, oh, you can build your own PC and buy the specs and buy the parts and build it together yourself, and it's so much fun to do that. But I think a lot of people don't want to do that. I think a lot of people just want to, get a machine, turn it on, Steam OS comes on, play your game. I think that was the whole appeal of the system, right? Dory, was the Steam
yeah,
OS works perfectly, and it does. Steam OS is incredible, and
yes,
it works right out the box. I think that's the appeal of Steam Machine. So tiny little box, you turn the button on, it just works. Like, right, I don't think anyone wants to go through like, I want to build my own
it just
box.
works.
I don't want people to just buy their own box and put the parts. I think that's the appeal. So
Yeah,
technically, yeah, you can get a more powerful PC for the same amount of money if you build your own. But a lot of people don't want to build your own. That's just the
for
reality
sure.
reality
I
of
mean,
it.
I'm closer to the hardcore audience on this. I think at this point, and this is like in one of my notes, like I am more likely. I'm not saying this is going to happen. I'm not going to probably do this because I'm too lazy. I don't have the technical know-how. This would require a lot of things that I don't have. It would require a lot of patience because you have to go on like Facebook Marketplace and
Yeah,
Newegg and eBay and a bunch of other sites to find like used stuff. But like Seb said, I mean, there are multiple. I did like some research a couple of weeks ago when people were speculating about the price, and I was like, okay, what is the DIY scene for building your own C machine?
yeah,
And it's like there are decent builds that are like $400 to $800. Some of them are comparable. Some of them are a little weaker. Some of them are a pain in the ass. Some of them are a little easier.
yeah,
But I mean, obviously, you're right. Right, the thing that is the best part about the Steam machine is just out of the box it works, right? You don't have to put the
yeah,
parts together. But I am so dismayed by this price point
yeah.
that I am closer to doing that. Like if you put me on a desert island, you're
Sure.
like, hey Dory, either buy this $1,000 console that's already like a generation out of step, or you know what I mean, basically a
Yeah.
console, a PC console hybrid,
Right.
or like build your own for like I don't know,
Yeah.
$700, $800, whatever you were hoping to pay for, I'd
Yeah.
be like, yeah, I'm gonna build my own. Like,
100%. These
yeah,
conversations always require nuance too, because people get really, so they always simplify
driven.
the problems. Because at the end of the day, people are going to compare it to PS5 and Xbox, and it's fair, right? But it is still a PC, and you do get more features with Linux, and you can like go on the browser and use it as a computer. You can use it for office work as well, like a little portable computer you can carry around. Not defending the price, because the price is atrocious, but you can't just say, oh, it's weaker than a PS5, therefore it has less value. I mean, I know people largely want to play this just for the games, but it does have some value in terms of being a computer as well. Like it's not as simple as weaker than PS5, therefore bad. But yeah, the price is atrocious. Like that, there's no justifying that. Like it's way more expensive than it should be. Uh, it's frustrating. It really is frustrating. I was very excited for it. But they put themselves, they got themselves in a corner, and they had to just
Yeah.
get it out. What I was saying, Dory, was it's not
No,
as simple.
I have my earbuds in. I forgot I had
Okay.
my wireless earbuds, so I actually was keeping track.
Okay, so
But
it's
yeah,
not a console. It still is a PC too. So it's not as simple as PS5 in a PC. Like, oh, it's less powerful than PS5 Pros,
yeah,
therefore it
yeah,
sucks. You can actually use it as a PC too, what
for
opens the
sure.
door for a lot of things. You can use emulators and ROMs and download stuff, and so it has to have that too. Going for
You
it, but
said RAM so much, I thought you were mispronouncing RAM, but then I realized I remembered what ROM is. um, but yeah, no, I like I said, I have my wireless earbuds in, which I totally
sure,
forgot, so
yeah,
I heard everything.
but
But yeah, I mean,
yeah,
you know, I totally, I mean, it's got those extra features, and like I think, I totally hear you that you're not defending the price, but I think I think I would have justified that to myself, like by saying the similar if it was, $750, $800, be like, okay, well, I'm not just getting a console. Like there's PC capabilities here, like you said, like, ROMs
yeah,
and
yeah,
emulators and shit like that. You can use the web probably easier than you can on a
sure,
PlayStation, right? It's probably more built in.
yeah,
Um, so I think like you said, overall the reception has been very negative. There's been some showcases of
overwhelmingly
performance
negative.
and stuff like that.
Yeah,
And those have been pretty lackluster with like Horizon and Cyberpunk and stuff like that. But those are also demanding games, and it depends on what you're running at. I know also that Steam kind of had to backtrack a little bit about how their FSR and 4K
they
gaming
changed
kind of
it.
interlap. Yeah, they changed it because there's a lot of backlash about how that actually is going to work on the Steam machine.
Not
I
getting
don't
4K.
personally care about 4K gaming, but just
Yeah.
I feel like Valve kind of docked big shit, and then gamers was like, that doesn't seem accurate, and they're like, yeah,
Correct.
we'll qualify it a little
It's
more.
not a 4K
So
machine. It's a 1080p machine. The specs
yeah,
do not. The thing is with this machine is that if you're buying this for AAA games and this is your main platform, no, don't. It's not worth it at all. Like
yeah,
go buy a pre-built PC, save up more money, $2,000, go buy like a real way better computer or whatever it is, 1,500. Buy a nice laptop. This is if I buy this, it'd be because for my indies, because I have like I don't know 700 indies in my Steam library shared with everybody else, right? Um,
it's an indie machine with some newer AA. I mean, we've said this before,
yeah,
but newer AA and then older AAA, and
yeah,
then I mean, if you want to run it on like low settings or something for like
sure.
newer AAA, you could try
Like,
it.
yeah,
But I mean, even for like Black Myth Wukong, Cyberpunk, I
yeah.
mean,
No, 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 no. I would not
there's some
touch that.
issues,
I wouldn't
and
touch
those
that.
games are like a few years old now. Cyberpunk's 6 years
Yeah,
old.
I look at it two viewpoints. One from like the majority of the audience, and one from my perspective. My perspective is I'm in that 1% that has over 1,000 games in my library. Tech enthusiast. If I got the Steam machine myself personally, I would get endless hours out of it, and it would last me like years just from indie games
Yeah,
alone. Just from indie games alone. But the problem is most people are not like that. Most people don't buy as many games as I do or whatever. Like, so it really just depends on the person too. But what When all said and done, the price is atrocious. It's way over, way overpriced. The problem is it's just going to be the norm now, and that's just going to be the case for almost every hardware that comes out from now on for a good while. So it's tough. You have to really weigh your options if you're interested in the Steam machine still. Are you going to be using it to justify that price? For me, I'm I'm 70% no that I'm not going to get it. There's still 30% of me that's still considering it. I have the money for it. I could buy it on Monday and buy it. And I can justify it for myself. But I'm like, do I really want to pay that kind of money for something I don't really need? As someone that has handhelds and a laptop and a desktop, um, but I really would love to play something on my TV. The concept of it is really cool. So as me as the 1% that would consider this, it's tough. I'm still on the fence. I'm still leaning no, but I'm not like 100% no. I'm definitely not getting that. I've been very conflicted the last couple of days of whether I should get it or not. I'm still leaning no, but we'll see how I feel on Monday. I do have the money for it, as I've said. I've been gearing up for this to be over $1,000, so I've been putting money aside for it. But at the end of the day, I could also just buy games instead, and not waste the money. But yeah, but for everybody else, I can't recommend it. It's not worth the money. Don't waste your time. I feel bad for the people that want to get into PC gaming right now. It's a horrible time. I've been trying to tell people how good PC gaming is, and I sound like a crazy person because everything's so jacked up right now. The cheapness and all the benefits of PC gaming are not showing for people because everything's so overpriced. So it's unfortunate. I feel bad. I do feel bad for Valve ultimately, but at the end of the day, they also were a billionaire company, and you know they could it'd be nice if they took the loss on it and just sold it, but whatever. All right, let's move on now to the Grand Theft Auto 6 price and criticism. Now, people were also
So much price.
complaining about prices. No, this is the norm now. This one, I could justify the $80 way more than I can the Steam machine, which I'll get into. The $100 one is where it gets really scummy, which I'll explain. So at this point, it's fair to say GTA 6 is Grand Theft Auto 6 is not delayed anymore. It's definitely coming out. You can pre-order it now on Xbox and PlayStation. It's coming out November 19th. You have two options. You have the $80 standard edition, which is $10 more than the industry standard of $70, or you have the $100 ultimate edition, where you get premium in-game vehicles, custom clothing, weapons, and extra character content. I didn't really see a lot of complaints about the $80. I think everybody expected that for the most part. It's not as bad as like when Mario Kart was $80. People were a lot more outraged over that. I think people are fine with GTA 6 being $80. There's not many companies that get away with that. Rockstar is one of them that definitely can. I I'm a little hesitant to say that's going to be the new norm and everybody's going to start making their games $80. I think Rockstar can get away with it. I think if another company does it, it would blow up in their face. Imagine if EA or Ubisoft made their game $80 day one. No one's buying that. That would blow up in their face. So I don't think that's going to be the new norm all of a sudden. Nintendo and Rockstar, of all the companies in the world, could get away with that kind of shit. Maybe even Naughty Dog could probably get away with that. Honestly, that's only we're talking a select few. Do you agree with that, Dory?
Yes. Sorry about that. I was texting somebody.
You're fine.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I don't think anybody could do what Rockstar does in general. I mean, Grand Theft Auto is so synonymous with gaming. It's held up longevity, despite the fact that they haven't released anything in about 13 years, unless you count GTA Online. Even then. So yeah, it's kind of a wild thing, but GTA is infamously a game that you can get hundreds of hours out of, right? And they're probably going to do DLC for it. They'll probably do another version of GTA Online. It's probably going to be a case where you could argue that 80 hours is going to be, or 80 hours, $80 is going to be justified for how long you're going to get out of this game. So yeah, but if anybody else did this, Hell, if they made Kingdom Hearts 4 $80, I would struggle to justify that. And that's my favorite franchise of all time. So I think you're right on the money. If anybody can do this, it's Rockstar. I don't think it's going to become the new standard. I think that is something to worry about, but I don't think it's going to actually happen.
Yeah, you already saw it with.
So yeah, I think we're safe for now.
You already saw it with Outer Worlds too. They tried to make it $80, and it backfired massively. Remember that? Remember Dory?
Yeah, I do remember that. Sorry. And yeah, it was. I was very surprised they did that. I'm like, Outer Worlds is like the last game you should do that with because you can blow through that game in about. Again, money doesn't equal time, yada yada. But you could blow through that game very quickly if you know what you're doing, especially if you played the first one. It just didn't make any sense. It's not that deep of a game. It's kind of a wide pond, but it's kind of shallow. Like it just didn't make any sense for the type of game that it is. Luckily, they walked it back and they made it, I think, 70, but 70 was still too high. It should have been like 50 or 60. And I love Outer Worlds.
And
I
it was
think
on
it's an
Game
awesome
Pass.
game.
And it was on Game
But
Pass day
but
one.
luckily it was on Game Pass, so I just played on Game Pass. I didn't have to fucking deal with that.
Yeah. All right. But the big criticism of this wasn't so much the price. I mean, we'll get into the $100 thing people complained about, but
Yeah.
the big issue people had was the physical disc issue. So they confirmed that all box physical editions sold at retail are strictly just codes in a box. So all you're going to get in the box is a digital voucher. We've seen that with the Switch too many times, and people are not happy about that. Physical collectors are not happy about that. I don't like that. And I don't even play physical games anymore. All my games are digital. I play on Steam, and then when I'm on PlayStation or whatever, I buy my game digitally. So I'm not the audience that would be upset about this, but I understand how people feel, and I generally don't like that idea that physical games are gone, and we're just gonna get a voucher in a box. Like I hate that, even though I'm all digital. So
Right.
how do you feel about it?
That's how I am too. I'm like I miss physical things so much in my life, and really the only thing that I still engage with physically is books.
Yeah,
And even then, I've started
I
thinking
barely
about
do
getting a
that.
Kobo.
I have an iPad.
Yeah, yeah. So I've been thinking about like a Kobo, or if I want to do that for my birthday or something. But because I don't like Amazon, as we all
Oh, I
know.
got no room.
Um,
I got no room for this for all these games.
yeah.
Imagine if
No,
all
I
my
know.
games were on a
I
shelf.
we had to Kim and I had to buy a new bookcase, and we haven't even filled it out, and we have to justify it by. It's like that fucking. Have you ever seen that bit from George Carlin where it's like you need to get more stuff to buy more stuff, and then when you buy more stuff and you run out of room for the stuff, you need to go to an apartment, and
Yeah.
the whole thing. It's just ridiculous. But yeah, I love physical stuff, physical like media, but I hardly ever engage in it. I mean, movies, TV shows, video games. You don't buy that physically anymore. Best Buy stopped doing that, right? I mean,
Yeah. At least like when Nintendo's games, like the digital version is cheaper than the physical version. Not with GTA 6. It's $80 no matter what. So you're getting no benefit of buying it physically at all. Like,
yeah,
what's the point? Just having the box? Like it's stupid.
yeah. I saw this quote from this guy named Nash who I follow on Blue Sky, and he's basically like, it's it's a case of like bad business, or at least it seemed to him bad business. Like you have to pay for distributing all the boxes. There's nothing in them. There's no extra profit, right? There's no markup on the box. It's just an $80 with an empty box and $80 without. And it's just like it's just kind of silly. Like I guess the thinking is that it's an ad and it's going to remind people to buy the game digitally, or it's just honestly probably just to appease retailers. I don't really think they need to appease retailers because billions of people are gonna, not billions, but you know what I mean. People are gonna buy this, right? But they want it physically in stores, but they don't want to actually put anything in the fucking box. God forbid they spend the money on it. So,
Yeah, it's
because
just
as
save
we know,
money.
Take Two Interactive is very poor.
Yeah,
Um,
it's save money.
yeah, so it's just stupid.
Yeah, they're trying to save money every little way they can and save money by not having to make discs and stuff like that. Um, but the other big criticism of the game, the game's reveal, well, not reveal, but the price reveal and all that, was that there's $100 Ultimate Edition that has 5 single player map locations that are tied behind the $100 edition. That includes vehicle mods, clothing stores, tattoo parlors, and hair salons, which are totally gated. And essentially, they're forcing people to buy the $100 to get the whole game. Essentially, this game is $100, and they couldn't justify selling the game for $100. So this is kind of their way of forcing people to pay $100 for it.
I'm really glad that Rockstar reminded me how much I fucking hate Take-Two as a company and like their business practices. Because it's been a while since Take-Two's been in the news. I don't know what the fuck else they own besides Rockstar. I presume
so much.
So much, right? But I never hear about them. I guess it's because all the other companies are hiring people. But yeah, I'm glad they reminded me how much I dislike them. This sucks. This is terrible. This is, if I could go back in time, and I think I would stop multiple things. I'd probably encourage a young German boy to like keep painting, but I'd also probably like stop the horse from having armor in Oblivion or whatever, or Skyrim or whatever it was, and just make sure that doesn't happen. Whoever got that idea, make sure it doesn't happen, because this is the end result of DLC being paid, which I don't. I'm DLC has been around for so long as a idea, or that I've become kind of numb to it, and I don't think it's inherently bad anyway, if there's enough stuff to justify the cost. But this is what the people against the horse armor were warning us about, like this kind of bullshit, where it's like you get two completely different versions of the game depending on $20 that you can or can't spend. I also wonder if Rockstar will let you upgrade in the future to like the $100 version by paying the $20 difference, or if you have to buy the $100 version after. I mean, maybe there's like a streamlined transferal down the line. I don't know.
Probably.
But I mean, but if they don't, I mean, that would be even worse, right? But I just think it's scummy. It's shitty. It's every single adjective I could use to say like this sucks.
Yeah.
It's Rockstar being really grimy.
Probably 2K
I just
doing it.
What's that?
It's probably 2K doing it.
Yeah, it's probably 2K.
They pulled this with the NBA. They pulled this with the NBA 2K games. They just nickel and dime you.
Yes.
Ridiculously.
So
microtransactions, crazy. Yeah, I mean, 2K owns BioShock, Borderlands, Civilization, Mafia, XCOM, the NBA 2K, WWE 2K, PGA 2K, and so on and so forth. They own a lot of.
That's right. So they are like the 2K people. I completely forgot what they even do in the industry, because I don't play those 2K games. I never have, and I never will. So
I do. I don't buy them day one, but I do play them when they're on sale, and I love NBA 2K and all that, but they're scummy.
Yeah.
But people play them like religiously. Like, there's a lot of gamers. I mean, the majority of gamers that play 3 games a year, and NBA 2K tends to be one of them. So they get away with that kind of shit. And unfortunately, GTA is gonna get away with it too. It's GTA.
Yeah.
All right. I think it's completely. I think it's completely scummy. I think it's ridiculous. With that said, it's my most anticipated game of the year. I'm day one, beyond day one. I mean, like I love Grand Theft Auto. It's one of my favorite franchises, 100%. I mean, I'm a diehard.
I don't even think the $80 is that unreasonable. I don't like Rockstar. I'm not into GTA. I'm like one of the only people who is like, God, I hope they release other games in that month.
Yeah.
But I mean, otherwise it's gonna be a backlog month for me. But I'm gonna be like one of the 2 people that's the case for.
But that's the thing.
But yeah,
if it's $100, I can justify the $100 only because I have nothing else to buy that month. At this point,
yeah.
I mean, that could change.
Yeah, if you could budget it out, I guess. But it just seems.
But out of principle, but do I want to support it out of principle? That's the question,
Yeah.
But I don't know how limited. I see how limiting it is, but I don't know how limiting is it going to be. Is it like I walk into a store and then a menu pops up saying you can't walk in here. You need to buy the. I don't want.
It's literally a YouTube skit. You know that YouTube skit where like the girlfriend comes into the boyfriend's apartment and or vice versa or whatever, and he's like, you can't go into the bathroom, and she's like, why? Well, you need to buy the battle pass. And I was like, what do you mean? I gotta buy the battle pass? What the fuck? And it's like, well, you can't wash your hands. You've got to buy you've got to buy the sink as part of the microtransactions of the battle pass. Yeah. Anyway, I not that you're justifying, but it's just so dystopian.
It is.
All I have to say about this whole fucking mess is congratulations to the Rockstar employees who are coming after Rockstar in court in the UK for their fucking union busting policies. And got that to go to court because that happened recently, so it's topical news. But yeah, that's all I'm really happy for Rockstar wise. I don't think the $80 is that bad. Seb and I are both coming after them for the $100 thing. Yeah. I actually don't think $80 is that unreasonable. You get a lot of. Some people are still playing GTA Online. Some people are still playing GTA 5. Like, you can get so
Many
much out
people.
of that game.
That game
So,
was
like, I don't really have an issue with it. I
yeah.
mean, if it was $100, I'd have an
It's
issue
been the
with it,
top
but
10 most selling PlayStation
obviously.
games for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
But like, I need to see reviews on the $100 edition because you can't always go by the fan reaction because people make everything bigger than it is. Like I remember people being like completely just pissed off with Dragon's Dogma 2 having those crystal fragment things that you had to buy or whatever.
Yeah.
And they were making a big deal out of it. I played the game without buying that at all. I didn't even realize that was a thing in the game. Like you would have, but the reaction you would have thought like was like front and center in your face the entire game. I didn't even notice it. So like you got to be careful with the reaction too, because like all these things that they're gating, you might not even notice. I don't know, because like I said, these things always require nuance. I don't agree with the principle of it, but I am care. I always gotta be careful with like the Twitter reactions to stuff because people make everything out to be a giant thing. I mean, like people play Pokemon games and they just stare at the trees. And I'm like, oh, this game is shitty because the tree looks terrible. It's,
I
like
remember that from
people,
fucking Pokemon Sword.
yeah,
And
people
then,
do that.
like, while they're staring at their fucking N64 ass tree or what the fuck ever that dumb shit
And it was
was.
bad, but it was like I'm not playing
I was
Pokemon
like,
for a
look at all
tree.
the Pokemon that you have. Look at all these cool mechanics. Because I hadn't fucking played Pokemon in 10 years.
Yeah,
Look at all these cool mechanics.
exactly.
Look at all these fucking things that they've done over the past 10 years to improve Pokemon. This is
Yeah,
so awesome.
yeah. You got to be
So I don't
careful.
know.
All I'm saying is you got to be
Yeah,
careful
you
with
gotta be
negative
careful.
because
Yeah.
people use negativity for engagement, and people like to blow
Yeah, if
everything
it's
up.
just a couple like big stores, but you can ignore them easily, and a
Yeah,
couple cosmetics. Number one, I still think it's scummy
I
because like blocking
exactly
that shit is
agreed.
lame.
Agreed.
But it's at least not as big of a deal because it's totally optional, and
It's
but
hard to
it's like
say.
if it's
We don't know
crucial
yet.
for like a main quest
Yeah,
or even a really important side quest. That's just lame.
yeah,
So Take Two doesn't fucking need the money.
yeah. If it's like if it's
Rockstar doesn't need the money for
yeah,
fuck's sake.
exactly. If it was like like Ubisoft, the Assassin's Creed game, like they made the game really grindy and like you can buy XP boost and you can to pass
Yes,
the
I
grind,
remember that.
that kind of stuff. That's scummy. If it's like that, then yeah, I need to wait to see what people are going to say, reviews and stuff like that about it. I mean, I'm day one. I'm day one with $80 no matter what. I think $80 is totally fine. The $100 one is just scummy. Will I probably buy it for $100? It really just depends. I'll have the money for it, but it's more of the principle, I guess. At the end of the day, I just want to play the game. I don't really care about having all the content. If I would just streamline it, enjoy the game, and then move on. I'm not gonna play GTA Online and all that. So if the story itself is fine, I'm cool. All right, all right. That's all our news topics and reviews and all that. So now we're gonna talk about some games, spotlighting some games. Um, these topics won't probably be as long as those ones because these are more like us just talking about the game itself. I'll try to streamline mine. I won't go too much in detail. Um, but yeah. So Dory, you played Cyberpunk 2077 for finally after 6 years. Top
6
50
years.
game, top 50 game for me. So I know it very well.
Yeah.
So I'm curious how you feel about it. So go ahead.
Sure. Yeah, so like Seb said, I hadn't played Cyberpunk 2077 for 6 fucking years. So why did I not play a game that was super up my alley? I love Cyberpunk. I love those kind of dark dystopian games. It's got a lot of politics in it. Love that. Beautiful graphics. You know, I can't really give the excuse that it was a buggy mess or something because it hasn't been a buggy mess for 3 years, I want to say, maybe more. But anyway, they basically fixed it around 2022 with the 2.0 update, whenever that was. Anyway, basically, I'm going to try to summarize this because I don't want to go too far into it. CD Projekt Red did a lot of stupid shit in the 2010s, late 2010s and early 2020s with trans folks. And I don't know if y'all know, I'm trans. So I kind of took umbrage with this. So, for example, in August 2018, CD Projekt Red made a "Did you just presume my pronouns" joke, which is so fucking lame. But like by itself, whatever, right? I mean, the apology was shitty too, but whatever. They apologized, quote unquote, whatever. Then the big thing was there was this trans person in a drink ad, and it was obvious it was a trans person because like there was like a notable like pelvic bulge, but there was like they were feminine presenting or whatever. And it was like "switch it up" was like the tagline. I think it was for Chromanticore, and of course the Manticore is like a beast of like two different animals or some shit. Anyway, it's supposed to be a commentary on like exploitation of trans people through capitalism, which I appreciate, except Cyberpunk has no representation of trans people, at least as far as I'm aware. I played it for 50 plus hours. I did not see a single trans person. I did a lot of the side quests and a lot of quests involving sex workers, which trans people have often found themselves in that industry because, similar to what CD Projekt Red was going for, a lot of people exploit them through fetishization, right? So I'm not going to go too far into that, but basically, like, I wasn't like I was annoyed by it, but I was like, okay, like that's not great, but it's just an ad, and like maybe I can let that go. But the two things put together, plus the objectification, which just felt kind of pointless. There's no like the artist was like, oh well, there's objectification of men and women too, and we were objectifying everyone equally. And I'm like, okay, I don't really think that's a great defense, but also like yes, it's a dystopian world, but should be trans people in this dystopian world, unless they're all fucking dead or something like that, right? Which I think we would fucking know, right? It's just there are objectification of men and women in billboards in Cyberpunk 2077 for sure. They're very in your face. You notice them. But the difference is there are counterparts to these ads. There are real men and women in this game, real men and women that you meet in this game that are not just objects of desire and profit and fetishization. They are real people, real characters with complex personalities and interesting backstories and whatever. There's nothing like that to compare to the trans folks who are objectified in that ad, right? There's just nothing. There's just no counterpart. There's no counterbalance to it, right? Trans people are just seen as an object of desire and fetishization and profit, and that's it. And there's no counterbalance to that, right? There's no trans people just fucking living their lives. And it's such a missed opportunity because it's fucking cyberpunk, right? Like I know some people are going to be like, well, the first couple cyberpunk things originally didn't have anything to do with gender identity and body modification. Okay, that was like 40 years ago. Like in the past 20 years, we've had lots of cyberpunk fiction that has gone into body modification, has talked about stuff from a transgender perspective. Like this came out 6 years ago, but that's still 2020. Like there was decades of trans cyberpunk, transhumanist shit going on for them to pull from and talk with those authors who are alive, still alive probably, and be like, okay, what can we do to include trans people? Because it makes all the sense in the world. Like cyberpunk is a very cool genre that I love and I think is really neat. And I'm glad CD Projekt Red did. But the bottom line is like they really missed the mark with the trans rep. It's also because like the way that they do gender identity in this game is it's tied to your voice, which is fucking stupid. Like you can do voice therapy now. Like I'm not saying it's accessible to everybody, but you can do voice therapy. You can change it from high, even taking hormones, even taking HRT can change your voice. And so like the idea that in a cyberpunk world you can't do that, like once you set your genitals and your voice, you can't change them. And even mods that I looked up this up because I was worried about romance and stuff. Even mods that change this information on the back end can lead to major glitches or at least minor annoying glitches consistently. It's just mind-boggling because this is a cyberpunk game. Like you should be able to change those things. You should be able to go to a Ripper doc. I don't give a shit. It can just fade to black. And then all of a sudden you have like a neutral robotic voice or you have a feminine voice or whatever. But it makes total sense within the world that I think is beautiful, by the way. I think it's a gorgeous world. I think it's very well written. This is literally like my biggest complaint with CD Projekt Red and with Cyberpunk 2077 is there's just no thought of how this would impact gender. And it's like I wouldn't care so much except it's been written about a ton. And no thought about disability, but that's kind of outside my area. But yeah, I think the ad just really knocked like it kind of upset some people because it felt like it was making light of trans folks. The tagline was like switch it up, and it's all like okay, dysphoria is not really a joke, and like you're not really putting it in perspective by like I said, have real actual trans people involved in the game or characters in the game. There's great LGB representation, right, with Judy and with River. I think they're both excellent characters, and I love both of them, especially Judy. I'll talk about her later. So there's just no excuse. I think that's about it. Um, I will kind of close by saying that there's a reset era thread that's years old at this point, but it lists all the transphobic things, and that was kind of my breaking point. I'm going to quote Anne Valens, a trans woman, who said that cyberpunk is a complicated, speculative fiction genre. Good commentary about trans experiences with gender can only come from a team actively embracing trans perspectives and commentary on gender, whether by working with trans people or outright letting them lead in writing and art creation. And then, if anything, the artist's comments prove that she and her colleagues are not familiar with trans cyberpunk literature on gender experiences in the late capitalist future. So, this was very frustrating to me. So, for 6 years, I didn't play cyberpunk. I didn't care about it. I was like, you know what? Like, CD Projekt Red, at best, is a very ignorant, behind the times company when it comes specifically to trans people. At worst, they're transphobic, right? Because of the way that all this worked. So I was like, I'm not going to play it. And then last year, as Seb knows, we started sharing Steam games through a Steam library, and not just through Seb, but I think one of his other friends too has like the Ultimate Edition. Immediately, I was like, I'm interested because I've always been interested in Cyberpunk,
Yeah.
and thinking about
Yeah.
playing it because it looked right up my alley.
Yeah, I have the
But I
DLC. Yeah.
Yes, and the DLC Phantom Liberty is fucking amazing. We'll talk about that too. Um, so I was like, you know what? I didn't pay for it. I didn't give any money to CD Project Red. Nothing's going in their bank account, so it's clean on my conscience. And then one of my friends was like, "Hey, for your 12 for 12 this year, you should totally play CD Cyberpunk." Sorry, they're both start with a C, so I keep getting confused. But start play Cyberpunk, give it a shot. So I was like, okay. So I'll start with my pros now that that's all out of the way of why I didn't play it for 6 years. Start with my pros. So the game is gorgeous, right? I already talked about this. It's very stunning to look at. Night City is incredible. It is a great visual realization of a focused and artistic vision that I massively respect and appreciate. I mean, Night City is so cool. There's so many little intricacies. There's so many cool little shops and people talking on the streets and things you can run into, and it feels alive, right? It feels like a lived-in world. I'm not going to say every single corner, but a lot of corners, right? I think the gameplay is super fun, unfortunately, unlike The Witcher 3. Whether it was swinging katanas, shooting guns, using some fisticuffs, like I just had a blast. Like guns and swords, they felt responsive, diverse, they were fun to upgrade and loot, they were a joy to use. Like there were some fun, like cool, like sciency weapons, cyberpunk weapons like Skippy, like the one that comments after you kill people and can like aim for people's crotches and their legs. Like that's great. So I loved that. Obviously, it's CD Project Red, right? The writing's phenomenal. I mean, it's just fantastic. There are so many characters I love so much. I There's a character you meet in the first 5 hours or so who dies, and I'm sure Seb knows who I'm talking about. It's in a major mission. And like there's a funeral for them later on after they've died. I was brought to tears by it, and realistically, you barely get to know this character. Like you have some conversations and they're a cool character and you like them. But like I was just bawling my eyes out. Like it was done so well, so respectfully. It felt so inclusive of that character's culture and what they would do in a future, like in a future, like with those people around. I don't know why we couldn't do this for trans people, but anyway, it was really well done. Is my point. It was really well written. I loved it. I think the soundtrack's fantastic. I found out about 30 hours in that there's a jazz channel, and I never changed. I never changed the channel after that. I wish they put in parentheses like what each genre is in each radio station or something. But you kind of just have to guesswork and just play it and see what plays. But I mean, there's heavy metal, there's a rock station, there's jazz, of course, there's electronica, duh. It's At worst, the soundtrack is like great background music, and at best, I was like, "Oh, this fucking rips!" Like some of the songs they did for Samurai, Johnny Silverhand's band, are just legitimately really good rock songs, and I genuinely enjoyed them. So that was awesome. Um, let's see. Let me see what else there is. Speaking of Johnny. Johnny is a egotistical, misogynistic, manipulative asshole, and he is one of my favorite characters in video games. Keanu is just chef's kiss. Like, he's just so good. I don't know whose fucking idea it was to get Keanu Reeves in this game, but give that person a pay raise because this is such an incredible job by Keanu. It was to the point where when he's not, it's like that Simpsons meme. When he's not in the game, I'm asking myself, where the fuck is Johnny? Like, bring him back. Because he's so charismatic. He's just so good. Um, Obviously, I love all the cyberpunk slang, if that wasn't clear from the intro. The ending that I picked, I was drawn to, I picked the Nomad ending, which is also known as the Sun ending. I loved it. I thought it was very satisfying. It was bittersweet, but it's a cyberpunk game. You're not going to get a happy ending unless you sell your soul. And literally that's the case in this game. The happiest endings are you basically being a nobody and selling your soul to either a corporation or a government. And I said no thanks, because I don't think that's very cyberpunk of me. It is very cyberpunk of me to give me that choice, but I don't think it's cyberpunk of me to do that choice anyway. So I like the ending. There's still some people died and some shit went down, but ultimately I was happy with it, which is great. I don't feel the need to play it again. I did about 50 plus hours. I'm very happy with it. One of the last things I'll say, I thought that I wasn't going to be able to romance Judy, but I didn't know at the time that gender was determined by your voice. And luckily, I had made my voice feminine, and I'd made my genitals not feminine, right? Well, whatever. I think the whole thing's stupid. But anyway, and so I was basically trans, right? And so I thought that Judy wasn't going to want to date me, but then she like kissed me on the cheek at one point. I was like, oh my god! So I started like looking at shit up. I'm like, what's going on? Because I love Judy. I genuinely think she's one of the best characters in video games. She's got such a complicated backstory. She's really fun to be around. Her voice actor just immediately smashes it. Judy herself is quite a looker, if we're being honest. She is very very attractive. I would date Judy. So like she's very cool. She stands up for sex workers. It's very funny because if you try to kind of scan her with the eyes that you can scan everybody with, she has like the least amount of infractions of anybody. They're like the most minor. That's like resisting arrest and like causing a public disturbance. I'm like, Judy, you're like basically an angel. Um, the romance is incredible with her. I think it's great. I think it's one of my favorites in all of gaming. I think Pyramid Song, the romance quest you get with Judy, is one of the best I've ever seen. It's one of the most romantic thing I've ever experienced in a video game. And I don't say that. I guess it's a low bar, right? Because a lot of romance in video games is very awkward because it's written by nerdy men in their 30s and 40s. But but it's done incredibly well. Is my point. You go scuba diving and it's just I love it so much. Um, and then yeah, I also felt like the game was really well balanced, like difficulty wise. Like I can only count one time where I was frustrated by the difficulty, and it was supposed to be difficult, which is the last mission of Phantom Liberty when you're trying to get to Somi and you're trying to like set up the train so you can get to the orbital station or what the fuck ever. It's just waves and waves and waves. It took me like 5 tries. But even then, part of the issue was like you need to be standing right next to Somi so that when she's ready to go, you can go into the fucking thing and get a save point. But those are all my pros. I've been talking for a while. So Seb, do you have anything you want to add or any questions you have?
I don't have any questions because I know the game very well, but yeah, the game is gorgeous. I mean, it's so gorgeous that this game is used as a benchmark for every single handheld, laptop, desktop that comes out. What's the first game they show? Cyberpunk. And this game is so well ran that they were even able to run it on a Switch 2, a Steam
Yep.
Deck. Like the performance of this game has come such a long way. When I first
Yep.
played it on the PS4 when it first came out, it was a disaster. It was a complete mess. The way they've turned it around, this game is like I mean completely revamped this game. The game you played this year is not the game that I played 6 years ago. They completely changed all the systems, the combat, the AI, everything is just different. And they turned it into one of the greatest games ever made. And CD Projekt Red is like top 3 developer in the world. For me, it's Rockstar, Naughty Dog, and CD Projekt Red. Those are the 3 best developers in the world, in my opinion, in terms of the AAA space. You get in the indies and all that, but I'm talking about like the AAA space. That's probably the big 3. Naughty Dog being my favorite one personally, but CD Projekt Red is incredible. They have their issues, with the PR and corporate and all that stuff. I'm talking about like just as a game developer, like the people that the
Yeah.
creative people, the creative people.
Yes.
Their writing
This
is
is
top notch. Like
this is a classic case of I like your Jesus, but I do not like your
yeah,
Christianity. I like your your Cyberpunk, but I do not like your CD Project
yeah,
Red. Even with their GOG, they've had some even recent issues with
yeah.
like accidentally using Nazi symbolism, but they're a Polish company, so you would think they would know better than to do that. Anyway,
I
yeah,
would, yeah,
it's an incredible game, and I haven't even talked about the replay value. There's so much replay value. There's so many different endings. There's a secret ending. Phantom Liberty has different endings. Phantom Liberty is incredible. Idris Elba is fantastic. I totally forgot he was in the game. So when Idris Elba's character shows up, I was like, "Holy shit, it's Idris Elba!" I totally forgot he was in this game.
yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, continue.
I would. I think you should try Witcher 3 though. I know you don't like the combat.
I gave it a couple shots. Maybe I'll give it a third shot someday. I
Yeah,
love the writing.
the
I
writing
love the
is
voice
incredible.
acting.
Yeah,
I think it's a beautiful game. I just I can't sync up with that gameplay, and I don't know what it is.
mm.
But
All right.
it's not even terrible or bad. It's just
Yeah, yeah.
the open world stuff too. It's just I don't know. It's just not meshing with me.
I
But
mean, you
I've
might.
given it a couple shots
I
now.
think you might also. You tend. I think you might like science fiction or like cyberpunk setting better than like a fantasy setting, right? No, you tend to
I
like the.
mean, I'm a dungeon master, so I feel like I like both. I think that overall, yeah, I think in media, I would gravitate more towards a like if you just gave me a pure fantasy and pure cyberpunk, I would probably go with the cyberpunk, right? I would
Yeah,
probably go with that before I went to. I play a lot of fantasy and because I'm a dungeon master, and that's just where D&D is, right?
yeah,
But
yeah,
there are obviously cyberpunk is based on the TTRPG cyberpunk, right?
yeah,
Cyberpunk Red or whatever it's called.
yeah,
So and I've never played that, but I would love to. But yeah, so I think in a vacuum, yeah, I would
yeah,
definitely play CD. I'm still interested in the next Witcher game because I feel like they've learned so much since The Witcher 3 in terms of gameplay. So we'll
yeah,
see how that goes, and I think the female lead is interesting too. So we'll see.
yeah. Well, those series also playable in the third game as well. Um,
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. Is that
yeah.
like the DLC Blood and Wine or something?
No,
Or
in the base
whatever it's
game
called.
too. Base game.
Oh, in the base game, I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
Anyway.
she's the main character. Um,
Yeah.
the cons, which you already talked about the trans stuff for the game.
Yes, we won't get into that
Yeah,
anymore. I mean, except in passing.
yeah,
Um, Look, my biggest criticism, maybe this is solved by mods. I don't know. I completely ran this game vanilla because I knew it had been really fixed and really worked on, and I knew it ran very well and the graphics were beautiful. So I was like, I don't really feel like I need any mods, so I didn't do it. But there are mods, and it's natively integrated too. I think. So you go wild. So maybe there are mods that fixes most of these issues. I don't know. Most of them are minor. Um, Look, we got to talk about this fucking save system. Sometimes the game thinks that it's okay to just arbitrarily say, you can't save right now. I'm going to disagree with that very heavily because sometimes the fucking mission is a little tough and I'd like to save during combat, or I'd like to save right before combat, or I'd like to save because I'm tailing an NPC who's walking as slow as they're in fucking mud. Like this is back in 2020. So we were fucking walking right beside NPCs who were going as slow as goddamn molasses. And that was like all the rage back then. Remember Final Fantasy, the first remake did that a lot for
back
7.
back then is crazy. I mean, it was 6 years ago, and that's back then. That's
Whatever.
That's
Whatever.
crazy.
6 years ago, whatever.
2020. COVID
Um
was 6 years ago. It's so back then. That's crazy.
it
That's
but
crazy.
like in terms of industry standards,
But
it
you're right.
was back then because I feel like
You're
some of
right.
the stuff that they would do, they wouldn't do that now. But yeah, I know what you're saying. It is
Following,
kind of
yeah, following the NPC and the escort kind of thing, where you're walking and talking, was definitely a thing in the PS4 era, and
yeah.
it kind of died out this generation.
Yes.
to an
But
extent. To
anyway,
an extent.
sometimes the save system just arbitrarily decides that you can't save. Like this was really frustrating during when I'm trying to get to So Me at the end of Phantom Liberty, because God, that was so tough, and I died like 5 times, and it was frustrating. And you don't get a save point in between each wave, and you can't manually save and you can't auto save. And look, my thing is, and I said this during the 007 review that I gave too, if you are going to give me the option to manually save or not give me the option to manually save, it's got to be balanced, right? If you are going to let me manually save and auto save whenever I want, or give that ability to me, don't just fucking take it away randomly and arbitrarily. It doesn't make any sense. I don't understand. I kind of get why they won't let you save during combat, right? Because they don't want players to soft lock themselves out of beating the game. But even then, you could just go to the save before it. So I don't know. I don't understand. It's I don't think it makes any sense. It's the worst part of this game. And to be clear, it only really upset me a few times. And by the time I was really getting annoyed with it, the game was almost done. So I just didn't worry about it. Like I didn't put in any mods or anything. But if I could go back and tell myself how to play this game, I would look for mods that would undo that because it's really annoying. You can lose minutes of progress, especially if you're trying to be stealthy. It's really fucking annoying. Anyway. Um, the trans rep is bad or it doesn't even exist. There's good LGBT representation, but the T is missing, except when we're using me and people like me for funny objectifying advertisements, which is shitty. Um, my other criticism, apart from the trans stuff, is that the fast travel system, I feel like it could have been streamlined a little bit. I feel like you should just be able to. Don't get me wrong, I love driving around Night City, and I did not mind that. So this is again a minor criticism, but it just felt a little tedious every now and then. So I'm like, oh, I got to drive all the way to this fucking terminal, which is all the way over here, or oh, this fucking side quest has no terminals right near it that I've discovered or are even there. So I've got to drive all the way over there or drive all the way to this terminal and go to the next closest terminal. It's like, can I just fucking fast travel? Like, I don't want to do this. It's just tedious at times. Like I said, I loved driving around Night City, so it's not a huge deal, but it could be frustrating. Sometimes the ends of plots of side missions just felt unresolved, like the stuff with the Peraltas or whatever, whatever. That the guy just kind of stops talking to you, and like when Micah is helping out the Moxes and Judy, and she just suddenly like kind of changes her mind. It's never really explained until like the end. And even then, I'm like, I feel like she kind of just changed her mind out of the blue that she was going to help Judy with the dolls. So I don't know. It was a little weird. There's a lot of there's a lot of why didn't you tell me that earlier lines from V, and I wouldn't care so much, except V kept fucking saying it over and over again. Why didn't you tell me that sooner? Why didn't you say something sooner? Why the fuck am I experiencing this now instead of being ready for it? And I'm just like, V, can we just expect that everyone's not going to tell us the full information because it's fucking Night City? It was just kind of tropey. It got repetitive. I was tired of hearing the line. It wasn't a big deal. But it was annoying. Johnny isn't really, at least in my playthrough, he's not really there at the end because V takes some blockers. And that was a bummer. I wanted Johnny to be there for the end of V's quest, and he kind of is. But there's a lot of cool moments there that happen with the Nomads if you do that ending. And Johnny's just not there. And I just feel like I don't know. It feels like a missed opportunity. It's kind of weird because Johnny. This is a 6-year-old game. I'm just gonna say it. Johnny kind of makes a play or like tries to persuade you to give over your body to him for the final. It just doesn't really feel like something he would do. I don't know. Maybe it just felt like V and him had really become simpatico at that point, and it just felt like he was suddenly making a grab for power that just kind of felt not really befitting of the character arc he was on. But I don't know. Johnny, like I said, he's manipulative, egotistical asshole. So I don't know. He's still a great character. And again, these are all minor complaints. I'm gonna keep saying that. There were minor cosmetic bugs, nothing game breaking. At one point during a very frustrating mission where you have to this is fucking insane. The you have to follow this guy in this big fucking truck, and the handling is terrible. And you're encouraged to speed, but I kept running people over, so I kept failing the mission. and the actual answer was to just like drive at a normal speed and you'll keep up with them, and they pretty much never get away. But the game's like, oh, you have to push the pedal to the metal. And this guy's like going after this other guy for killing his wife, and this guy ends up being like trying to do. Do you remember this mission, the BD with the Jesus Christ guy? I don't know how you could forget it, but it's the light that never goes out mission. Jesus Christ, literally Jesus Christ. But yeah, anyway, during like the first part of it, the guy's like standing through the roof of the car, and it was kind of funny. But like that's the worst of it. I never had a crash. I never had like serious FPS drops, anything. I'll try to speed through the rest. Um, Tailing people, we already talked about it. Tedious, NPCs move slowly, but even if you start pressing shift down and you start running, you don't know where the fuck you're going because your objective marker is right next to you because you're supposed to follow them. So you don't even know where you're going. So like, yeah, they'll start moving faster, but you'll be like, are we going this way? Are we going that way? So it doesn't matter how fast you run because your objective marker usually is not important. There's some like lack of tutorialization every now and then. There's some menus that are buried in other sub menus. Like at one point they wanted me to do something and I'm like, where the fuck is that? So I had to like look it up. I had to look up how to buy a car because I didn't understand how you're supposed to buy a car. Um, and then last thing I'll say, the gender designation is fucking ridiculous. Your voice doesn't determine your gender, neither your generals. Just do it like fucking BG3 did. Or you know what's funny? Fucking Saints Row has a better gender system than Cyberpunk 2077, where you could just mix and match. I mean, you're still locked in a binary, but like it has a better gender system than a fucking Cyberpunk game, and that's hilarious. So that's all I have to say. Seb said he is contractually obligated to kill me if this goes over 25 minutes. So I think I'm under the wire here, but I think we're good. Overall, it's a 9 out of 10 for me, or like a 4.5 or a 9.5. I do think it's held back by CD Projekt Red's fucking weird things with trans people. The save system and fast travel systems, minor bugs. But I mean, the game's so good. I mean, it's so fucking good. The gameplay, the writing, the character work, the voice acting. I haven't even mentioned the voice acting is incredible. This is a game that I would full stop recommend you play, but I would not recommend you buy because I don't like CD Projekt Red. So I'm going to heavily recommend that you find a way to play this game, and I'm not going to say any more about that. But it's an amazing game. It's just run by people that I think have some weird politics going on, and that sometimes feel like they kind of appeal to the Gamergate section of gamers, and I think that's really shitty. But yeah, it's an incredible. I mean, what do you want me to say? It's fucking Cyberpunk. It's an incredible game. They fixed it. They made it better. We know that. That's pretty much all I gotta say.
All right. So the next three games are all my spotlights, and then Dory's gonna spotlight Lego Batman as well. But I want to start with Mina the Hollower, and this is a game created by Yacht Club Games, who the people that made Shovel Knight. And this is a Game Boy Color era Zelda-inspired game that blends Dark Souls-inspired progress with gothic Castlevania-like horror elements. It has a dense world and deep gameplay mechanics. It has a tough difficulty curve, and its retro controls are definitely for more hardcore gamers. So the premise of the game is it's set on Tenebrous Isle, which was a once prosperous, gloomy island that relies entirely on a massive clean energy source called the spark generator. And this generator was invented by Mina's mentor and parental figure, which is Baron Lionel. He's like a lion. So Mina's a mouse, of course. And yeah, so the premise, this game is ultimately a retro-inspired Zelda game from like the 80s or 90s on the Game Boy Color. And when I say Dark Souls inspired progress, I mean you go to a map, you explore, and then the maps all have shortcuts to each other, and you progress in that kind of way. And it has RPG elements, which I'll get into. And then it's Castlevania like because it's very gothic inspired, and there's a lot of monsters and grotesque enemies and things like that. All right, let's get into the pros. So the pros is starting with the 8-bit visual style is stunning. Its use of gothic theme and music gives it major Castlevania vibes.
Retro fans are gonna absolutely love this game. It ran flawlessly. I never had one issue with this game. It's an absolutely perfect handheld game. It runs really well on the Switch and the Steam Deck, the Switch 2, and the Steam Deck, and it ran perfectly on my MSI Claw 8 A+, which obviously is much stronger than the two other things. The exploration is top notch. Tenebrous Isle is incredibly dense. The zones are all interconnected very well with rewarding hidden secrets that are tucked away in nearly every area. The burrow mechanic, where Mina digs underground to dodge attacks, crossing hazards, and setting up counterattacks, adds a nice layer to the usual traditional 2D retro combat. I really enjoyed the digging mechanic. It had something new for sure. It has a wide variety of build customization. There are several primary weapons, sidearms, and equipable trinket accessories for Mina to use. It has a good leveling system called Bone Up. This is like where you use the bones, the in-game currency, to upgrade stats, including attack, defense, and sidearms. So every time you hit a threshold, it will ask you to upgrade one of the stats. And so people are going to have different builds when they play this game. It has a really good assist mode that makes the game more accessible. It has things such as taking less damage, no bone loss, but boss checkpoints, quick heal, no pit damage, more invincibility time after you get hit, moving faster, and more. So a lot of accessibility options. You're gonna need it because this game is very hard, and I like that they had that added to the game. Overall, in terms of what it sets out to do, incredible retro graphics, great music, really good combat. It's just very old school. If you don't like old school kind of games like this, it's not going to appeal to you. But for what it wants to be, one of the best games. In fact, I think it's the greatest indie game of the year so far. I think it's the best indie game of the year so far, and it's the highest rated game of the year, I believe, right now. So it's well deserved. Um, for the pros for sure. Now there are cons. The cons for me are not like major cons, but they're definitely there. Starting with the difficulty, it's an incredibly hard game. I mean, this game has major difficulty spikes. Even regular enemies can give you a lot of issues if you aren't careful. You especially see the difficulty spikes in the beginning in the early dungeons. This game is going to lead to this game has led to a lot of player frustration, and it requires consistent grinding at times. There might be a point where you're under leveled and you need to just fight a bunch of enemies and grind your stats and get better weapons, and it's like an RPG in that sense. So you have to be mindful that this game is very hard. This is not one of those games. Oh, it's a casual retro game. I'm going to enjoy, just chill out. No, this is like you gotta be locked in. This game is tough. Yeah, exactly. It requires this game needed a more consistent mapping system. I thought it was way too easy to get lost in this game, and a lot of my frustration wasn't even the combat; it was getting lost and not knowing where to go, and I had to look things up, and I don't like that. It was a little too old school for me there. Like I get what they're going for, like old school. They don't hold your hand for anything, and I'm not somebody that needs my handheld constantly. I don't need yellow paint everywhere, but I still need some guidance. You can't just say, figure it out. Good luck. Let's find the entrance in the most obscure place in the corner. No. So I didn't like that. Um, it's limited by its 8-bit top-down movement angles, so platforming can be frustrating. The platforming in this game is not the best. Jumping and navigating narrow paths can feel stiff and clumsy, and you're gonna a lot of my damage in this game was just from fall damage because I couldn't get the platforming right. Because sometimes you had to like using the digging mechanic to leap over the gap, and it was just a little finicky, and it wasn't great. So that was frustrating at times. There was several times in this game, especially, oh my god, like there'd be a giant chasm, and you have to jump on the platforms that are pretty far from each other, and then and if you fell, you got damage, and you would die. Obviously, it was frustrating at times. The story really isn't that memorable. It's pretty standard. It's the whole basis of the game is basically you have to fix all the spark generators, and every spark generator has a boss at the end that fits the theme of the area you're in. No, there's the snowy place, the woodsy place, the lava place. It's typical thing. Typical climate biomes or whatever you want to call it.
Gaming tropes.
Gaming tropes for sure. So there's that. But the story is not a big deal. I don't think people are really playing this for the story. I think people are just playing for their cool gameplay and stuff like that. And this is this is a big criticism for a lot of people, but like this wouldn't this wouldn't matter to Dory at all. I don't think, because she could care less about achievements or trophies. But I know I've seen a lot of people pissed off about this. If you use any of the accessibility options, it completely disables the achievements, and you can't get any trophies or achievements, which I really don't like. I think that's an issue. Like, I think accessibility is good for games and generally important for games, and I don't think you should take away people's achievements because you want your game to be hard. Like, I don't know. I don't really understand that doing that. Like, I can understand like a really specific achievement that requires doing something really challenging, like a challenge mode or something, like beat the game in 5 hours. Like, I can understand making that be hard to get, because achievements ultimately are meant to be like something that only a few people can get sometimes. Like, some achievements are like for like speedrunners or something like that, right? Like, oh, only a few percent can get it, and it's like a badge of honor, right? That's how achievements are. That's how they first started. I don't think you should lock away story achievements behind, disabling story achievements. But like, I can understand challenging achievements. But either way, I just don't. I don't see the point of even doing this. You're just creating unnecessary drama. All right. So, any questions about the pros or the cons, Dory?
No, I mean this is very much not a me game
Yeah,
a
no,
lot of level. Although I do appreciate
none.
accessibility, but I don't appreciate the way that they've incorporated accessibility. But I'm glad it's there. But yeah, I mean I knew this wasn't a game for me. This is not a kind of game I really grew up with, and even when I did, I never really enjoyed these type of games. So yeah,
Yeah, this game wasn't really for me. Like, I didn't really grow up with '80s retro games like this. That's how much I enjoyed the game, but I definitely had a lot of frustration too, as
yeah.
well. And that's probably
I'm
yeah,
kind of getting tired of this kind of philosophy of like, oh, well, we're not holding your hand like modern games. Like, yes, I agree, and we're going to talk about this later with Elliot. There is a case that some modern games, maybe too many, are overly holding your hand and not allowing you to to turn that off or turn it down, or even when they do turn it down, it's still pretty bad.
yeah,
I think that's a real thing. I know people hate the yellow paint. I like it, but it tests well with audiences, but in demos and testers and stuff. But I
yeah,
understand some of the hardcore fans and some casual gamers think it's annoying. Whatever,
yeah,
right? But like at the end of the day, I do think like bragging about like how hard your game is and how inaccessible it is, it just feels like a weird brag to me. I mean, you can talk about your game not being handholdy without I I feel like bragging about it or making it a selling point. Like it's okay if your game is tough, like Mina the Hollower, but I feel like there's also a point where it becomes difficult for the sake of difficult and not fun.
yeah,
Like you said, like getting lost a bunch of times. It's never going to be really be fun
mm,
unless you've got so much time to waste. And
yeah,
I don't know, even if you do, I think there are better uses of your time to waste.
yeah.
So
One of my biggest
it's just a frustrating. It's
yeah,
an under. I guess what I'm saying, and I'll let you talk
yeah,
after I say this is basically it's an understandable reaction, but a frustrating reaction to overextension from modern games. Is to
right,
kind of go back to those retro games that were kind of confusing and
yeah,
you weren't really sure what the hell to do. So I get why people are doing it, but
yeah.
it annoys me. Hell is Us did the same thing.
It's like people always view things like as like a binary. It's always like, okay, so we don't like yellow paint. We don't want people's like handheld. So let's just make it completely ridiculously difficult and confusing
Yeah.
where to go. Like, where's the middle ground? I don't need someone to tell me how to do a puzzle every 5 seconds. Hey, if you hit the A button, I don't need all that. But at the same time, don't like just say good luck, figure it out. We have a very
Yeah.
complicated menu
There-
system, but I'm not going to tell you how to use it. Like I
yeah,
need some
it's
tutorial for
I mean,
that.
that was my issue with, like, I don't know, I never played it, but like Tunic, like I would never want to play
Yeah.
Tunic because like I don't want to fucking read a manual while I'm trying to play a game just so I
Yeah.
know basic like what to fucking do, right? That sounds
Right.
like a bit. I'm not here to. I love reading,
You're
right?
right.
I want to teach English eventually, but like I'm not here to read a fucking book. I'm here to. Now that said, if the book's as good as Disco Elysium, am here to read a book. But anyway, in general, I'm not here to read a book, right? I'm here to interact with the
It
media,
is.
and
It is.
you
It is
know,
kind of ironic you saying that because you play a lot of those
yes, I
games
know, because I love narrative games. As soon as I said that, I was like, well, I just stepped in it, didn't
But
I?
I know what you mean though.
But you get what I mean, right? Like, I don't want to read a fucking manual. I don't want to
Well,
decode it, right? At least with Disco Elysium, I don't have
yeah.
to fucking decode anything.
No, exactly. Like the narrative games, like there's a lot of reading, but you're looking at the screen to read it. Like you're not looking it down at a
Yeah.
manual book. And
Yeah, like an in-game manual that I
Yeah.
have to decipher that's some alien language. But
Yeah.
yeah, I agree with you. I feel like there's a good I'm not always a fence sitter. I don't even think this is fence sitting, but like I want a good synergy. I always want there to be options for people. Like really hard challenging games like Mina the Hollower or Hollow Knight or Dark Souls games or whatever, which are not all the same kind of game, but all very difficult games, right? I want those to exist for people who want those games, of course. But I also want games that are accessible, and I want games that are kind of in the middle and like can like mix it up. And like
Yeah.
I don't know, I just feel like sometimes the games like Mina just like go a little too hard on the we're not hand holding or whatever, which I always like to say humorously. I'm like, why not? Like holding hands is great. Like, come on, guys, stop being so rude. But yeah, I don't know. It's a frustrating trend in development. Like I said, Hell Is Us did the same thing, and I liked Hell Is Us, but they were like, one thing that turned me off from that game is when they were like, oh, this game's not going to hold your hand, and we're not going to give you a map, or like all these little things. It's a very navigatable game. I think I only got lost a handful of times, and even then, it wasn't that hard to find. Where like they really oversold themselves and probably lost a decent sized audience based on the whole "we're not holding your hand, we're not telling you where to go." Like it's not that unclear where to go.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just like I
Yeah.
said, understandable reaction, and I agree that sometimes Nintendo does it too. Over tutorialization, too many tutorials, too many things. I understand why for them because they're more family orientated. But for your hardcore audience, even for some of your casual audience, it can get fucking annoying, right? I don't want to.
Yeah.
I want to fucking throw a Pokeball. I don't want to read about how the Pokeball has a metallic density of 5 feet or some bullshit, right? Like I don't need to know that.
They should just give you options
I
to
bet
skip it. They should give you options just to skip
yes.
the tutorial.
That's it. I just want more options. I just want more accessibility. I just want more people to have fun. I know
Yeah.
these are controversial opinions I'm dropping right now, but I assure you they are my own.
My biggest pet peeve with games tends to be like pacing, right? I've always complained about pacing. I hate when games just like throw you in a puzzle that's really confusing and just completely grind the whole game to a halt. And I have to go look up a guide how to solve it. It really doesn't need to be in the game. I don't like that. I don't like, and I hate being lost. I can tell you how many times in games where I wasted so much time just being lost. I had to look up the guide or look up a walkthrough or something, and I'm like, it really didn't add anything to this game to make this confusing where to go. Like,
Yeah, it just feels like padding sometimes, like I
Yeah.
think you said.
Yeah, a lot of games go for padding. All right, so overall, I think it's a 9 out of 10. I think it's one of the best games of the year. It's in my top 10. I don't know if it's going to stay in my top 10, even though it's the highest rated game of the year. Um, I'm not the audience that's gonna like, oh my god, this is my game of the year. I'm not that person, but it is my favorite game, my favorite indie game of the year, and probably will be my favorite indie game of the year. But we'll see. I also love mixtape, so that's my top 2 if we do an indie game list. All right.
Yeah.
So let's get into Lego Batman: Legacy of the Dark Knight, which is developed by TT Games. Lego Batman is an open world action adventure game that serves as a major love letter to Batman, mainly the movies. It uses Unreal Engine 5 for the first time, and this makes the game look bigger and better than ever. It's a very pretty game, which we'll talk about, especially for a Lego game. So we journey through the life of Bruce Wayne. So you literally start off when he's a kid, and of course you know what happens with his parents, and it literally shows that in a PG, very family friendly way. But it does the pearls and everything. It goes for it goes from with the 1989 Batman storyline where the Joker is the one that does it, and he's not even the Joker yet.
Yes, I know. Yeah, with the Joe Chill storyline, stuff like that.
And the cool thing about this game is that it literally goes from like when he's a kid to like when he's an older man with like the Bat family. But it also like remixes all the Batman movies and the comic moments and suits and gadgets and music and all the other media, all meshed together into just like one single narrative. Somehow they made it work where it's like the same Batman, but he's like all the Batman movies combined. That's pretty cool how
This
they did that.
this game is very good. So Seb basically talked me into threatened my family. Honestly, no, talked me into playing this game. I had no interest, not no interest, but I had low interest in playing it. But he was like, we're going to talk about it for the podcast. Once I'm done with it, maybe you can go check it out. I was like, you know what, I'll do it. So yeah, I generally pretty much agree with most pros and cons Seb's going to say here, and I think the biggest pro I have is weirdly the story. I don't know how they did this. I just imagine the Pepe Sylvia thing from the It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I don't know how the fuck they did this. I mean, I know it's mostly the movies, but there's references to every single Batman media that you could almost think of. I mean, they got Batmite for God's sakes. So like it's really impressive. Like genuinely,
Yeah.
I am very impressed with how they weave this story. I'm not saying
Yeah.
it's like BAFTA award winning, Goldie award winning or anything.
Yeah.
But I think it's very impressive
Yeah.
that they made it come together in a somewhat cohesive storyline. I think
Right.
that's really impressive.
Right. Also, it has a big open world, big Gotham City you can explore, and it has Arkham Knight vibes to it. I think it's even bigger than
That's
those
right.
games. The map is bigger than those games, and it
Yeah.
plays like those games too. For the like,
It
Lego
does.
Batman usually has basic combat. This game actually has like full on Batman Arkham gameplay to a T. Like it's pretty much an Arkham game. It's the closest thing we're ever gonna get to another Arkham game, unfortunately.
It really is. It felt like coming home, to like someone you haven't seen in years and stuff like that, and like everything like works the way you remember it. I mean, it flows really well. The combat works really well. The stealth is a little simpler. Everything's a bit simplified, I think,
Yeah,
to a certain extent. But it's a Lego game. I think that's completely fine
of
and
course.
fair.
100%.
And you can play it on Dark Knight mode if you want the challenge. I didn't want the challenge. I don't play Lego games for the challenge.
Yeah, that's
But
weird.
but you can, and I think that's awesome that they gave more less casual gamers that kind of option. I think that's awesome.
Right.
But yeah, it was really cool. I enjoyed my time with the gameplay. Just thinking about like the ones that have the shields, the bigger guys, the smaller guys, the guys with the guns, the guys with the swords,
Right.
whatever. It was fun to have that kind of combat loop and puzzle sequence again.
Yeah.
After so many years of not doing it.
Yeah. All right, let's get into the pros. So, as we already talked about, the presentation is a major step up for a typical
Yes.
Lego game. It has great Unreal Engine 5 visuals. The Lego characters have more of a realistic plastic look. Like they have like realistic textures to them, and they also have like
Yeah.
and like even like the cape looks realistic. It's like real fabric and stuff. Like you see the difference. Like it's a big jump up. And the city looks really good. I mean, it's not like, it's not like on a high tier, like, oh my god, it's Horizon Forbidden West kind of thing. But it's like it looks really good for a Lego game, especially. And it's
Yeah.
surprisingly big. It's a big map to explore. It's surprisingly huge. Now, there is some cons to that, which I'll talk about, but for the most part, the map is like, wow, this is really cool. So the concept of it is really cool. You agree with that? The visuals?
Yeah, I think the visuals work really well. I mean, Lego visuals can be, kind of dicey, because, you're taking a toy aesthetic and putting it in a video game, and that's just kind of a weird amalgamation of media to
Yeah.
mix together. But I mean, obviously, it's working for Lego. They've been doing it for 20 years or something
Yeah.
like that. I think it works really well here. I never had any complaints graphics wise.
Probably longer because I played Lego games in the 90s, but I don't know if TT.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, since
But-
the 90s. So maybe 30 years, 25.
I don't know if TT Games was making those games. I think they had it for like.
I still remember the pizza game that they did, the Pizza Island game, or what the fuck ever. That the guy steals the pizza and then uses it to break out of jail.
That sounds very familiar.
Yeah, I definitely played that game, and I remember being like a pizza delivery boy on a island or some shit.
I remember an
grew up playing
island, and I remember like a burglar or something. Like
Yes.
Yeah.
And the other game, super tangent, but the other game that I played too from Lego was the chess game. I don't know if you ever played this, But it was crazy
Not that
because
one.
you would have a bunch of Lego pieces as chess characters, and when you would take one of the pieces from the other side, there'd be a fucking cutscene,
Yeah.
like a whole ass story about how one piece got the other piece,
Right.
and it was super funny.
Yeah.
It was so awesome. Anyway,
Yeah.
Lego games have been around for a long time, is what we're saying.
Yeah, the games that really got me into like Lego games were the Lego Star Wars games, like the 2000s
Yes.
ones. I
Yep.
love those ones. All right, so this game has full voice acting and a legitimate story, as we already talked about. And like the voice acting, I have some problems with, but just like how far we've come from other Lego games. Other Lego games were just like they would just use clips from the movies, like the exact dialogue, like they would just grab it from the movie. Or they would just make noise and grunts, right? This one is fully like this one feels like the most AAA Lego game that there possibly is. I think they do, as we already said, I think they did a good job mixing all the movies together to create one cohesive story, and I think it flowed very well. I think it had a nice pace to it. The single player campaign had a nice pace. Everything made sense. Wasn't great. I'm not saying the story was incredible or anything like that. You agree with me as well. It's not like, oh my god, this is Last of Us, but it did a great job just syncing everything together. Like it was nice pace.
It didn't feel it didn't feel like this could have easily been a tangled, ridiculous mess with no coherence or through line at all. But they didn't like they actually put like their whole their whole 100% effort into it, and I was very impressed with it. I mean, again, not like it didn't get emotional or something, but
right.
Well, we'll talk about the credits. I got emotional there, but that was more of like, oh my god, that's awesome.
Yeah.
But I know from Game Changer that you can definitely license that song.
Yeah.
But anyway,
they own it too.
Was very
WB owns it.
What's that?
WB owns the song, so they can.
Right. Well, that too. But yeah, it's. I mean, it's such a fun story. It's nothing amazing, but it's fun. I was entertained. It gets the general beats of every movie, I think, generally right, and nails that kind of atmosphere. Honestly, I should go back to a bunch of. I haven't watched Batman movies in a long time. I really should go back to them. But yeah, I loved having Batman Returns, having a lot of stuff from that because I grew up on Batman Returns with Oswald and Catwoman and all that kind of stuff. I love the Batmobile in that movie. I had a Batmobile like that as a kid that I would drive around, and it just looks sick. I mean, it still looks sick. It's such a cool model for the Batmobile. I'm that and the animated series. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And there's a part in the game where they do an animated Batman the Animated Series intro. I was fangirling. I was like, I can't believe the dedication to this. It's so insane in a good way.
Batman the Animated Series is my favorite Batman personally, and I love. I also love the Nolan trilogy too. But I do my preferred Batman is always going to be more of the cartoony, Tim Burton-esque Batman compared like dark 80s kind of Batman compared to like because the Nolan movies are very grounded and realistic, and I like that. Don't get me wrong, but I prefer the more cartoony, over the top.
You're wearing a hockey suit or whatever he says.
It's a little of a tangent, but those movies kind of kicked off Batman, where it was like all the villains had to be like human characters and grounded. Like Batman has a lot of fantasy characters, like a lot of over the top villains that are memorable, and they don't want they never do that in movies, right? All the movies, which are all great movies. For the most part, but they haven't done anything goofy or anything over the top in a long time. They are doing a Clayface movie in October at least, so we'll see.
And that looks cool. But anyway.
So this has typical Lego humor. I mean, it's a family game. Not every joke or moment lands, but like I got a good amount of chuckles in this game. I had a good time.
Same. There were definitely points where I laughed or like did a small like kind of chuckle or whatever. Yeah.
Exactly. And then the combat works really well in this game. I mean, it feels like an Arkham game. We already said that. It has nice flow in the combat. It has the dodging, the counters, and the use the gadget. I mean, it's exactly the Arkham game. I played those games so many times that it just felt natural to me. Like
agreed.
I was barely getting hit because I got really good at those games after playing them so many times.
I think I got as high. I'm sure you beat this, but I think I got as high as like I want to say 50 or 60 or maybe as high as 100 hits without getting hit at one point.
Yeah.
This game's not hard. I mean, even in Dark Knight, I doubt it's very hard, and it's not supposed to be. but it's just super fun. I mean, you
Yeah.
feel get ready for everybody. You feel like Batman, right? It
Oh,
makes you feel like the Dark Knight, right?
yeah, yeah,
With all the youthful swagger
yeah.
of a Dark Knight. But yeah, it's very well done. I think they adapted the style. They were kind of like TT Games was like, you know what? Fuck it. For some fucking reason, no one else is doing this anymore, so we'll do it.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, I'll take it.
Yeah, I think I definitely got over 100 because there was an achievement for getting 100 or more, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. This game has really deep customization. There are like over 250 pieces of furniture and trophies to collect. Like you can fully customize the Batcave however you like. And it's like there's a lot of options you can do, different skins and colors and all that stuff. And there are over 120 skins, as I said, and there's custom glider combinations. There's a lot of suits to unlock. There's a lot of references to a lot of Batman media. Dory already mentioned Batmite. You can buy stuff from him as well.
Yep.
So like, it's just so much. It's a love letter to Batman. So there's a lot of customization in this game. The flying, the gliding, and the driving through the city feels nice. It's not like Spider-Man amazing. Obviously, it's a Lego game, but
Yeah.
it's well done. I mean, it's pretty good.
It's fun.
It's very.
I honestly don't know
Yeah.
why anybody would use a Batmobile. I just did a lot of grappling and a lot of gliding, and I almost never used the Batmobile. I used it when I had to for a story mission, but
Yeah.
generally I didn't use the Batmobile. But yeah.
Yeah. The driving feels pretty good. I mean, it's very accessible. It's like it's really they keep it very easy to turn and stuff. Like it's not Forza Horizon. You're not like you know what I mean. You're not doing Tokyo drifting in this game. The map is full of things to do, for the good and the bad, and you're getting a lot of bang for your buck. So there's a lot of replayability in this game as well. A lot of collectibles to get, a lot of things to do. But if you don't want to do all the stuff, you can enjoy a nice 10 to 15 hour campaign that's very tight paced and it has hidden collectibles and puzzles that are they're not like they're really simple, but they're not like incredibly simple. Like they're still like you got to think about it a little bit sometimes. But there's other Lego games where like the puzzles were like very obscure and I had to like look it up what to do or something like that. I think this game had a nice balance. I never really had to look anything up in this game. And then finally, the credits song that played was not expect. I didn't expect that, and it was amazing.
That song,
I sat there and listened to it.
Seb, it remains my power, my pleasure, my pain. It's. I was so happy when I heard that song. That song's still a banger. It's so good. I still when I hear it on the radio or even casually, I've listened to it a couple times over the years. I mean, not a ton or anything, but yeah, it's genuinely such a fun song. It's the best part probably of Batman Forever that everyone remembers. Well, besides how dark it got towards the end of that film, after being very very silly. But yeah, I loved it. Hearing Seal's "Kiss from a Rose" was awesome, and it was very nice surprise.
It made me want to make a Batman edit with the song. Like I was thinking about it. Like I want to do a Batman edit. Okay, this is my favorite Batman
it's super
song.
fun.
When I think of the '90s, it's like one of the first songs I think of. Like that was like my childhood. Like I was looking at Batman Forever, like stuff on my View. I had a ViewMaster. Remember those things? You put the
Yes. It took me a second. Yes, I remember.
Yeah. All right, let's get into the cons now. Now, this is not a major con, but even the Batman Arkham games have this problem. The combat gets repetitive. Like you fight the same grunts over and over and over again, and it doesn't change. Like it's just the same.
I'll say this: I'm glad I mainlined the game. I think I beat it in around 10 hours, maybe 9 or 10. I super mainlined the game. They were like, "What about the Riddler? What about this guy?" I'm like, "I don't fucking care. I do not give a shit."
Yeah.
I didn't. And to be clear, I did not care about the Riddler in the Arkham games either. Like I don't do those. I find them very tedious and annoying, and I just don't care.
I agree.
But
this game had the same problem. The map is tedious and repetitive. There's a lot of boring side content I don't really care about, and I had the same problem in Arkham City and Arkham Knight as well. And like, I like side content where it's like a side story, like someone's getting killed, you have to investigate who's doing it. You know what I mean? Or like you get sucked into a dimension.
The Hush mission.
Yeah.
The Hush mission in the night, and it's kind of in City as well.
Yeah, so like you should do like that. Like, oh, there's a side villain story plot. Like I think Spider-Man did a good job with that in terms of like,
Yeah.
okay, we're doing like like a Carnage story on the side, or we're doing
Yeah.
like a, like a fire, like a Shocker story or something.
Yeah.
Or Tombstone, I think it was. That's what Batman should be. Like Batman Arkham City did that a great job with that. Like there's like,
Yeah, City did a great job with that, with Deadshot and with Hush and with
yeah,
a couple others.
yeah.
But this game just doesn't. Everything feels
It
like
goes for the trophy thing,
just
the
a
Riddler trophy.
distraction, just an unnecessary distraction, just a collectible. And I know that's what Lego games are, and I'm sure it's fine for kids and even for just casual audience. But for me, it's just I don't know. To me that's not interesting or fun.
Yeah, the thing about Lego games is they're always easy, like platinums or achievement games, but like they always require like 35 hours of
Yeah.
repetitive content.
Too
And
much, too
so
much time. I spent my 9 or 10 hours felt well spent, and I was glad that's all I did.
agreed. All right, some stuttering. There's some stuttering when there's like a transition between cutscenes and gameplay.
Some,
The frame rate, or a lot. But the frame rate. I mean,
yeah,
my computer did.
depending, right?
Yeah, my computer had a good
We have
amount.
a pretty similar build. I
Well, I
when it
guess,
went
yeah.
from gameplay to cutscenes and back and forth, man, it tanked. I don't know what the fuck was happening, and I had a perfectly smooth game otherwise, so it wasn't
The
like my
transition
laptop.
between
It's the
the
transition.
cutscene
It
and
just
the gameplay. Yeah.
fucking tanked. Especially there. I think one part during when Jack Nicholson's Joker has like the blimp or whatever,
Yeah.
or not the parade.
Yeah.
I mean, it just kept tanking over. I'm like, this is like taking me out of the experience. This is annoying.
What was it,
So
cutscene?
it was no, it was a cutscene. It was it
Yeah.
just like
The tr-
it
in
would.
transition, yeah.
I,
It was the
yeah,
transition.
I'm like it got to the point where for a little bit afterwards, I was getting worried about whenever it would transition to a cutscene, but that seemed to be the worst of it, thankfully.
Yeah, like the gameplay itself had no problems. It was just
Yeah,
that. It was the transition. It was very, very choppy. The boss fights were very easy and very uninspired. Like they were just
yeah.
bland. Like they just did the same attack over and over again, and you just easy to dodge. And a lot of you just standing there waiting for them to move, and then move out of the
It felt
way.
like the worst of Arkham Asylum. I also thought that it would have been cool if they incorporated the stuff from City with Freeze, where he reacts to what you do, but they don't do any because it's Arnold Schwarzenegger's Freeze, which is fine, but I
Yeah,
don't know, it's just a bummer.
yeah, they're going for the goofy more,
They're going
and
for which
it
is
kind
fine,
of hurt
but
the
I don't
bosses.
know. They could have
Yeah,
made boss fights more interactive, but yeah.
yeah. All right. It lacks a character creator customizer, which every Lego game has. And that's a cool part. You can make your own character and stuff. You can only play as the 7 characters in the game, and it's not a big deal, but yeah, it's definitely there. It's definitely it still sucks a little bit that you can't customize a character and make something goofy looking and like have a weird mixed Batman character. The world is impressive for a Lego game, but it lacks depth. Most locations tend to look the same, and they're not really memorable. There's no like big monuments that stand out really. Like, the whole city looks pretty much the same, and you're driving and
Yeah.
gliding so fast that like there's really nothing to look at. So the game is very pretty and everything, but the visual, like the terms of like it's not like
The atmosphere
the
is lacking.
atmosphere. Yeah, like Spider
Yeah.
Man, like
Like
there's all different buildings and all different stores
yeah.
and like
I remember like in
skyscrapers.
Origins, like everything is like blanketed by snow. Like that's such a perfect like Christmas
Yeah,
game because
yeah,
of that.
yeah,
And it's obviously it's set around Christmas too, but it's like
yeah.
it's just a perfect time for that. But this is just the city doesn't have much of a character, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean it's a Lego game, so you can kind of
Yeah,
grade it on a curve, but still, it's
exactly. It's not a huge deal, but
yeah.
yeah, it's
The,
notable.
the voice acting can be inconsistent. I didn't like Batman's voice really for half of it. I like because
I was whatever about it.
Troy Baker or Will Arnett are like
Yeah,
the
for sure. I
better.
mean, it's a step down from them for sure. I
Yeah,
don't know.
Will Arnett is like Lego Batman, so I don't know why they didn't ask him or
I don't know
well,
why they didn't get him either. It's not like I don't
yeah,
know. He's not doing BoJack anymore. Like he's not as busy as he used to be. I'm not sure what's going on.
yeah. He just felt like too goofy for me. And then when he was serious, he still sounded a bit goofy. Like you could tell he was doing
Yeah.
he had to like deepen his voice a little bit, but he still sounded off. So I didn't like that. Then some of the villains, their voices didn't fit for me either. All right, you can't drive to the Batcave, so you can only fast travel. That's kind of it would be cool if you could have just like Because, again, the
Yeah.
location thing, you can't.
Yeah, you can only drive out of it once during the story.
Yeah, and then chapter. Go
The
ahead.
fast travel system in this game is kinda annoying too. I tried to
Yes.
unlock one of the subway tunnels, and I could not fucking figure it out, and eventually I said, "Fuck it. I'm just gonna drive around," and then Alfred keeps bothering you. "Master Wayne, you know that you can do da da da." Oh, speaking of holding your hand. "Master Wayne, did you know that you can do this?" And he just keeps doing it over and over again. I'm like, "There's a subway tunnel next to you. Like, why don't you go
Yeah.
check that out?" I'm like, "Bro, I tried once, couldn't fucking figure out how to open it. I don't care enough. I'll just swing around the city with a grappling hook and glide and shit like God intended. Like, who cares?"
Right. Also, I felt chapters 4 to 6 like were just rushed. Like,
There's definitely a point in the middle of the game where I was like, there's feels like there's like a couple of scenes that are missing here or something.
yeah, like chapter 6 was like incredibly short.
Yeah, very short.
I'm like, at one hand, I was cool. I was like, oh yeah, I'm beating the game. That's pretty cool. Like, I'm kind of ready to move on because I was like 15 hours
Yeah,
in or whatever.
sure.
But like, still, like it was rushed. Like they really built up the first like 3 chapters, and then the 4, 5, 6 is just like boom, 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 and then it's
Yeah.
over.
Yeah, Dick Grayson all of a sudden just has an issue with Bruce and it just kind of comes out of nowhere and it's like, I mean, I get it, but also, yeah,
Also, I didn't
kind of
understand
weird.
why they didn't kill Robin's parents. Like because they
Yeah, I
killed
didn't get that either.
they killed
I
Bruce's
kept
parents.
waiting for it to. You know what? It was they did the fake out too, where Robin would have been responsible for their death because he like fucking threw a thing and they fell down or
Yeah,
something, but then they were fine. I was like, oh, okay, so they're okay. So why is he going with Bruce? And then they're like, oh, the circus let me go because or fired me because I,
yeah.
messed up or what. I'm like, okay, I guess. What a weird shift. Like, but you can't say it's because it's a kids game and they don't want to kill the parents. They fucking killed Bruce's
The first
parents.
10 minutes.
So what the fuck? So I don't know. It was weird.
Yeah,
And it was strange. Some of the I will say some of the platforming can be a little finicky. Not a huge deal, but
yeah.
something I just remembered too.
Also, this game was incredibly easy. Like the stealth, like I was, you basically didn't even have to stealth in this
It's
game.
so overpowered. So, and this is the other thing about the game. The AI is so dumb,
Yeah, the
dude.
stealth is not great
Really,
in
really
this game.
dumb for real. Like
Yeah,
so dumb.
like
They they have no idea who you are, where you are, or even if they directly see you. It's just so bad.
yeah, like in the Arkham games, if you get caught, you get hit with like gun damage and you die pretty fast. Like this game,
Yeah,
like there's like no point of stealth. You could just like you just fight everybody and beat them
yeah,
pretty easy. Um, there's a lack of interiors. Like everything's like just out in the open. There's no you can't go in any buildings and really explore anything. The only thing you can explore is the Batcave, and then obviously the levels that you're in. And then finally, it's impressive how while the movies are tied together, but the story itself isn't really memorable. It's basic, it's retelling of all the movies. Like that's it. You could have did a little more, guess with it. But overall, it's a big step up for the Lego series, and it's a fun game with a tight and fun campaign. It's an 8 out of 10. I can argue that it's a Starfield 8 out of 10, but either way, it's an 8 out of 10. I had a good time with it.
yeah,
It's not my top 10, but it's like honorable mention. I had a good time with it.
yeah.
I'm a big Batman fan, so I really enjoyed it. So
Same.
I
Yeah, I had
recommend
a
it.
great time with it too. I was very pleasantly surprised by it and how much I enjoyed it, especially because I haven't played a Lego Batman game in years and years. But I was very happy with it. I thought they did a great job. Like Seb said, things could be improved, but honestly, for a Lego Batman game, I'm very happy. So
All right, let's move on to the last spotlight, which is The Adventures of Elliot, the Millennium Tales, which is created by Team Asano and Square Enix. It's a HD 2D action RPG that fuses 16-bit Legend of Zelda gameplay with Chrono Trigger style time travel. So the game takes place in the fantasy kingdom of Philadelphia. I don't know. Let's say Philadelphia. Philadelphia. I can never say that word. It's a stupid name. I'm sorry. Players control the titular hero Elliot alongside his companion Fairy Faye on an epic quest to lift a dark curse placed on Princess Huria. I think it's Huria. To save the kingdom, Elliot must cross 4 distinct historical eras spanning 1,000 years, shifting the timeline to solve puzzles and hunt down powerful, enemies. So let's start with the pros. Right off the bat, it's beautiful. The HD 2D aesthetic is just amazing. It's great with Octopath. It's all the rage right now. It's beautiful. This game has a perfect blend of crisp, beautiful pixel art and modern 3D lighting. It's a great game, great looking game, just from the visuals alone. It also has one of the best soundtracks of the year. The music in this game is fantastic. I strongly recommend people check it out if you like those kind of big orchestral RPG like soundtracks. I think the gameplay is really fun. The hack and slash combat feels fast and snappy and intuitive. I enjoy the parry and shield system that opens up like staggered. You stagger the enemies and you hit them with a critical hit. It feels like a modern old school Zelda. That's exactly how it plays. Like you would think this kind of game would be turn based, but it's actually an action RPG. Everything's in real time. It plays more like a Zelda game. It's like the best way to describe this game is it's Zelda, old school Zelda, with Octopath visuals. All right, it ran flawlessly on my MSI Claw 8 plus, my handheld, and I heard the Switch 2 version runs really well. I think this is the perfect handheld game. Like I wouldn't even play this game on a desktop or anything like that. A laptop thing is fine, but like a desktop with a big giant monitor. I don't think this game. I mean, it looks good, but I don't think it. I think this game's more tailor made for a handheld. It just feels right. I enjoy being rewarded for getting good at the game. If you keep beating the enemies without getting hit, you get a combo, and then the higher your combo is, the better the rewards are. You get like 3 times the treasure from drops and stuff like that. So it rewards you for being good at the game. It has a nice variety of weapons for Elliot and magic for Faye to use. I used all of them and I enjoyed mixing it up. You unlock more spells as you progress in the game and complete trials throughout the map. The game has several nice features, including flexible like drop-in local co-op. There's co-ops you can play as the fairy, and then the other person plays as Elliot. It has generous autosave safety lines, and there's a clever like paid revival mechanic that like you can trade in currency to if you die. If you're in a tough boss fight and you die, you pay money and you get revived. So that's cool. But the fast traveling between the time periods definitely made it a lot easier to traverse the map. And I really like that because if the main mission was like in a different time period in the main hub, if you unlock the travel point, which you'll do naturally, you can just travel right to it. So I really appreciated that. I liked being able to break down the duplicate magicite into points. So if you get like the stones that you get, if you feel like you already had them or you didn't really need it, you can break it down into points and get more. I like the magicite system that complemented your weapons with extra stats. So overall I had a good time with this game. It's a good game. It has a good amount of flaws, which I'll talk about, but the gameplay and the visuals were good for me, and the music, and it's a great handheld game. So if you like these kind of games, I think you're gonna enjoy it overall. Any questions about the pros?
No, I don't have any questions. That all makes sense to me.
All right, so let me get into the cons, which definitely more cons than pros, unfortunately. All right, so you fight the same 10 basic enemies throughout the entire game, excluding the bosses. It's the same enemies over and over again, and even the bosses repeat sometimes. So they reuse assets. Some locations are confusing on how to get there, which again we get back to the conversation we had with Mina the Hollower. I don't know how it wants me to get there. Like the map, there's a map and it's accessible, and the travel points are pretty accessible and everything like that. But like sometimes there's something's in the corner, and the only way to get there is to go to a cave system. No, no. Good thing is on the map, if you put your cursor over the cave, it shows you what path the cave leads to. But it still was very confusing at times. Not like it was not that much, but it had its moments where I was like, I don't understand what you want me to do. But I always eventually figured it out. Um, Many of the dungeons are bland, and they just follow the same format for pretty much all of them. I think all of them follow the same format. I got all the achievements. 3 levels, find a blue or red key to unlock a door, and then solve an easy puzzle. The puzzles are like very basic, nothing memorable, nothing you haven't seen before. Like it literally does the puzzle where like there's light reflecting on a mirror, and you have to move the mirror to bounce the light, that kind of stuff. Very standard video game puzzles. The combat is nice overall. but this retro style of like the way it's designed, it's retro styled. It makes the aiming of the bow and the boomerang difficult. Like the enemy, like it's so hard to aim with those things. I always miss with those. They have to be like perfectly straight in front of you, but everything's like so 360 around you in a 16-bit game, and it just doesn't work properly. And then the bombs are just completely useless against regular enemies because they're just bouncing around. So like it just you have to time the bomb perfectly. It doesn't work. It's better for bosses. And even then, I just never use the bombs. I only use them just to get the achievement. They're right. The rewards for exploring are not great. You will time travel to another era and go to a different spot to unlock a chest, and it doesn't offer a good reward. Like you get like a random magicite, and it's like, oh, okay, thanks, I guess. Like it's just not rewarding. Sometimes you get a cool weapon or something in a chest, but for the most part, I was always disappointed by the rewards. But where this game really falls apart for me and has its issues is the writing. The writing by far is the worst part of the game. It's flat, dry, and cringe-inducing at times. The story itself is not memorable, which is a big sin for this kind of game. RPGs should always shine in the story, and this game, especially this game, because it has tons of dialogue and people talking. So if that falls apart, then this game starts really falling apart for people. I didn't care for many of the characters. It has some themes about racism and xenophobia and things like that, but it's always so surface level. And then always the solution at the end of it is always can everybody just get along? And that's basically how he solves. It's just so basic. Um, I would have preferred a little more nuance and deeper themes and get deeper with it. Because that's some cool things. Like there's people that have cat ears and they're discriminated against and things like that. It's so surface level.
Yeah.
I think Elliot himself is a pretty bland character. Like he has like no character arc. He never changes. The whole game, all he does is be respectful and helps people. That's his whole like. It's all he's like Superman, without any depth. Like he's Captain America or Superman with no depth.
Yeah.
And his whole character is just like, I'm gonna go help people. Okay, let me go help you. And then he has a stupid hat. His hat is really stupid. It doesn't look good. I don't think it's cool design or anything. It's a stupid hat. He just has no character arc. Like the entire game, he's just always super optimistic. He like there's nothing like he's just not. He's just bland. It's like a heroic. He's just a hero. And like yeah, it's cool to have a positive role model, positive character and all that. I'm not saying that, but you gotta do a little more with that. Even Superman has like his down moments. He's down on his luck, and you can't just make him like, I'm just a hero. I'm just gonna save everybody. That's all I do. I'm just very polite and respectful all the time. Like there's got to be a little more grounded for me, please. So Elliot, he's not bad or anything. He's just bland. But God, the fairy companion Faye. Oh my God, she's the worst.
Hey, listen. Hey,
Oh,
listen.
she makes the fairy and Zelda out to be
Navi.
like, yeah, out to be like Last of Us, like Ellie kind of like writing. She's incredibly annoying. She makes comments about everything. She points out the obvious in everything.
Is she worse than Fee in Skyward Sword?
Yes.
Wow.
She points out everything. Like
Yeah.
she makes comments about everything, and then she even like late in the game, you beat the game several times. You're like,
I've heard from even from people who have turned down her talkativeness, she still talks a lot.
She makes comments about everything that's obvious. Like it's
Yeah.
like dead like yeah, I know, thanks. She just told me that. Thanks.
Yeah.
But it's like she's giving me tutorials like I'm like I just beat this game twice. I have the two ending, and I'm like late in the game. Like I'm like, why are you giving me a tutorial? Like I know how to play. Like I'm like far in the game at this point. It's like I'm like 50 hours in, and she's like telling me, do this. And I'm like, yes, I know. I've been doing that. I got the achievement for killing 100 enemies with this weapon. Like, thanks. She's the worst, and her voice actor is horrendous. I don't know what they were thinking with this. The dub is not great in this game. Elliot is fine. His voice acting is fine, but Faye is really annoying, and all the other characters are just bland. Like everybody's just kind of giving a basic performance. It's not horrendous or anything like that. It's not like Resident Evil 96, where it's like very bad or bad. It's just in fact, I prefer Resident Evil 96 because at least it's memorable how bad it is. Like
Yeah.
this is just blah. And then the cats, I don't know what weird thing about this game is all the cats meow are they're all meowed by people. Like it's clearly a person saying meow. And it's just weird. And there's like 20 versions of
Meow.
different meows by people. I don't know if it's like an intentional joke or not. It's just kind of weird. But the dub in this game is so bland. It does one of the things I hate games do, where the normal ending you get is not the real ending. You have to play the game multiple
Yeah.
times to get the true ending, and it's very obscure, bunch of things to do. I hate that. I'm sorry. I hate when games end with like a basic bad ending.
Yeah.
Like, come on, like the true ending should have been the main ending, and then the game would have been a lot better. But no, we got to do multiple playthrough, multiple side stuff to unlock a true. I hate that. I absolutely hate that.
Padding.
100%. Because this game is actually not that long. You can beat this
Yeah.
game in like
It's like 20 hours, right?
20,
25 hours.
20, 25 hours. And they
Yeah.
pad it out by true endings and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's I even wrote it. It feels like pad, and it's visually stunning, great music. But it's largely let down by its writing. The story's bland, characters are bland. The writing is just the biggest con of the game, and the sad thing is, why it hurts the game so much because it relies so heavily on dialogue and storytelling. So if that falls apart, then the rest of the game it hurts the game a lot. With that said, I think the gameplay is still good and fun, and I think the game overall I had a good time and I had fun. That's why it's a 7 out of 10 for me. Um, I can look past a lot of the story elements and things like that because the gameplay was so much fun and the visuals are really good. I think some people are going to disagree with this because the reviews were like 8 out of 10 or something like that, consistent. I think it was like a low
Yeah.
80s.
It had mixed reviews on Steam for a while, and now it's got like mostly positive, but
Yeah,
a lot of people were upset about Faye and the handholdy stuff,
yeah,
and I think there are some other concerns too, maybe some technical issues too.
yeah,
So, but yeah, it's been getting kind of mostly positive response, but there's definitely been some criticisms.
yeah. It's also because I played so many JRPGs and I see the difference between the really good ones and this one. This is definitely
Yeah,
in like it's not a bad game. It's a good game. 7 out of 10 is a good score. It's
yeah,
just it's like the mid tier. It's not memorable. I'm not really gonna remember this game 10 years from now, kind of thing. Kind of let down by it, to be honest with you. But
yeah,
still a good game though. I don't want to make it sound like I hate it. It's still good, and I appreciate that it was short for this kind of game. I mean, so I had a good time playing it. I think really what it pisses me off the most is the requiring multiple playthroughs for an ending. If it just gave me a real ending and that was it, I probably would have been like a 7.5 or an 8 possibly. Or yeah, all right. So our last topic is not really a topic because we're gonna go pretty fast. Like obviously,
yeah.
but we're just gonna we're at the midpoint of the year now. By the time we get to the next episode, it'll be July. So we officially made half a year of 2020, half the year of 2026, and we want to share our top 10 games. And of course, we do this every year at the end in December. But we just wanted to just do a little like kind of like a report card or a progress report of where we're at right now. And I'm gonna go pretty fast, right?
Yeah,
Dory, you can go first because I've just been talking a lot. So then I'll
for
go
sure.
after you.
Do you want to go one by one?
Yeah, we'll just say the number, and then if you want to,
Sure, sure.
if you want to give a brief reason why, don't go crazy. Just go like a brief.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I will say the bottom three here are very much subject to change. I have played about 17 games this year from 2026.
Yeah.
But a lot of them aren't, a good amount of those aren't 4 out of 5s. But anyway, number 10, Posthumous Investigation. I talked about that a little bit. It's a great investigative game. It's got a little bit too much going on, but overall, I really liked it. Really love the black and white noir aesthetic, plus the unique South American kind of locale. So the Posthumous Investigation, go check that out. Great game.
All right, number 10 for me. is Dragon Quest VII Reimagined, which great job remaking a great game, and I think I had a lot of fun with this game. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to make my top 10 by December, but it was one of the best Dragon Quest games, and I recommend everybody play it if you like this series.
Number 9 for me is Moses and Plato, Last Train to Clawville. This is a very, very Dory game because it is a visual novel. It's noir. It's got detectives in it. It's got animal type characters, which I really like because it happens a lot with me. This is a spin-off of the Rooster Chicken Police detective series that I love, Paint It Red and Into the Hive. This was a great experience. I think they could have made it clear that you can fast travel around the train because I didn't realize that until the end. But the mystery was really cool. It's not super interactive though. Nothing you do really matters, but it's more visual novel, and that's fine. I never really expected a lot of meaningful choices and changing the story and stuff. It's pretty linear.
Yeah.
But I love the new. I mean, I loved the old direction of the Chicken Police, but I like this new kind of classic 2D animation. I think it's really well done. The writing is great, of course. That's the main thing here. The music is great. The voice acting is great, although it's not consistent. Yeah, it's a great game. Go check it out.
Number 9 for me is Crimson Desert, which I've talked about before. It's they fixed a lot of this game, and they built patches and stuff like that. I put a lot of hours into this game. It's a blast to play. The story is not great, and the main character isn't great, but the gameplay is just so much fun that you'll have a really good time. You can do so much. The customization is just there's so much to do, and you'll have a blast just for that alone. It won't. I don't think it's gonna make my top 10 by the end of the year, but
Yeah.
I wanted to shout it out.
Number 8 is we can blast right through this. This is Lego Batman: Legacy of the Dark Knight. Great game. Honestly, almost a really great game for me, simply because of how much fun I had playing it, but not quite. But yeah, like I said before, last thing I'll say about this is just expect these bottom 3 games to, and with affection, to probably not be here by the end of the year because of how many great things are coming out. I mean, Wolverine and Phantom Blade Zero and Control Resonant by itself clears it out. So yeah,
Yeah.
we'll see what happens, but don't expect these games. Expect these games to be making an honorable mention appearance, if anything.
All right, my number 8 is Mixtape, which I really enjoyed. I know it got a lot of criticism online and stuff, like being a basic game, and but for what it was, like a 3 hour just narrative experience, and just we talked about it in detail, like how great the
Yeah,
characters are, and the storyline is so like just a very grounded story, and just relatable in a lot of ways, even though we're not like 90s teenagers or anything like that. But like there's things we can all relate to, and I really loved a lot of the mini games and a lot of very memorable moments. Some of the mini games didn't hit, but like for the most part though, like they were like this is really cool, and like
yeah,
they're memorable. And I'm gonna remember like the fireworks section, for example, in
yeah,
December, that kind of thing. So I really had a great
yep.
time. I think it's one of the best indie games of the year.
My number 7 is Life is Strange Reunion. A really great, let's be honest, probably cap to the series. I think they really did justice to Max and Chloe. That ending aside,
Yeah,
I think they did a really great job of the characters. The writing was excellent. I felt like bringing back the time mechanics was good. I mean, Chloe's talkback mechanic was kind of undercooked, but overall, I felt very moved by this game. I cried quite a lot, especially during the boat scene. I didn't know I needed this game and was very skeptical of its existence, and I'm still not sure it should exist.
yeah.
But they did it, and I think they nailed it, surprisingly. So I have my criticisms, but overall, this is the best Life is Strange has looked in a while. In terms as a series, I think they did great. I mean, I love True Colors, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So yeah, they did a great job with it. I think this is probably it for Life is Strange, but
Yeah.
and if that is the case, I hope it's not. But if that is the case, I think they went out on a high note.
Yeah. It was a big improvement over Double Exposure, which I had problems with, and then also
Yeah,
I hope the series doesn't end, but I do hope Max and Chloe's story ends. I think it ends on a
Yes.
nice note. Don't go any. There's nothing else to do with them. There's nothing else to do.
Right.
Please
There's
stop.
nothing else.
No more Max,
Please
please.
stop.
Like there's nothing else to do with her. Like her story arc's complete. So
Yeah.
please, I say that like respectfully. I don't see what else you
Yeah.
can do with it. All right, number 7. I don't have to go in detail because I just talked about it today. Mina the Hollower, my favorite indie game of the year. Just very hard, very retro. You have to like that kind of game. But like for what it accomplishes, it's incredible. It's one of the best games of the year. The highest rated game of the year so far. All right, Dory.
My number 6 is Mouse PI for Hire. I loved the gameplay here. I loved Troy Baker's voice acting. I loved the animation. I thought the plot was great. I mean, I literally figuratively lost the plot towards the end.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, I had such an awesome time with it. Yes, the gameplay is kind of basic and enemies can kind of get a little repetitive, but overall, I had such a fun time playing it. I have some criticisms that there's no long range weapon, while enemies seem to have perfect aim.
Yeah.
I think it's lame that you can't go back and do level select and stuff like that. So you've got to get everything in one go. But yeah, I don't really have a lot of criticisms of this game. I think it's excellent. It's one of my favorite indies of the year.
My next game is Neo 3. Neo 3 has like a really good open world. The gameplay is a blast to play. That's the biggest appeal to it. I love the visuals. They were not the greatest, but they were really well stylized and cool. And the game is just fun. Like that's really the main thing. It's like one of the most fun games of the year. This could be my top 10 by the end of the year. Just so much games coming out. But Neo 3 was I really enjoyed that they made it open world instead of like map mission oriented. And yeah, if you like Souls games, like you'll really enjoy the gameplay.
My number 5 is Mixtape. We already talked about Mixtape. I love it. I actually liked it more than Seb did. I think the writing is incredible. If this is an industry plant game, I hope there are so many more industry plants left to grow, because this was fucking awesome. Seb's already said most of what I think about the game, so I'm just going to close with Jenny fucking Goodspeed, and I'm going to leave it there.
All right, my number 5 is Saros, which I didn't get to talk about yet in the podcast, but Saros is a really great game. Storyline is much better than Returnal, which I found very confusing. This game is still confusing, but I at least got what the point was and everything like that. Gameplay was I think maybe better than Returnal. Either way, it was but equal. It was really good. The gameplay in this game is amazing. If you like bullet hell games, and it's hard, but the thing about this game, it has really good accessibility options this time. A lot more accessible than Returnal was. So and you can beat this game pretty fast too. I enjoyed it. You know, even when you beat the game, you have to get the true ending and things like that. So this is one game where I can excuse having to replay it because this game is meant to be replayed several times. So you'll have a blast with this game. This game's gameplay is awesome, and the visuals are amazing. And the visuals of like cutscenes and stuff like are just cool to look at. It has like that Death Stranding. So it definitely has the Sony budget, even though it's like more of a AA game for Housemarque. So I strongly recommend it. It's one of the highest rated games of the year for a reason. Right,
Not to mention Raul Coley is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Number 4 is First Light 007 First Light. I'm a huge James Bond fan. Well, I was when I was younger anyway. I've kind of fell off the fandom in the past 10 years or so, maybe more. I think Casino Royale, which was like 20 years ago, was the last one I really watched. But anyway, bar none, probably the best overall James Bond game of all time, and I don't think it's particularly close. The next game I could think of is, of course, GoldenEye or Everything or Nothing, which I think is an underrated gem, but also haven't played that since it came out. So
yeah,
just an incredible single player, very good voice acting, very good writing. The combat is super fun. I have some issues with the checkpoint system. I have some issues with little things here or there, but I mean, we're getting towards the top of my list. I have very few seriously substantial negative things to say about First Light. Besides the checkpoint system, I think this is an excellent game. There's not a ton of replay value. Maybe that's another big con I could say. But yeah, I mean, Seb will mention it in a second too, but this is just a fantastic game. Kudos to the folks who made this.
My number 4 is Pragmata, which dad's dad space as the people say it, how
Yes,
people call
Dead
it,
Space.
and like I mean Diana, probably my favorite character of the year, and
Yeah,
she's so likable, she's so cute, and like Dory said she would kill me for her, so she would murder me.
yeah,
The gameplay was a blast. I was very surprised how well they managed to keep that mini game gameplay going while like a bunch of enemies are on screen. They did a great job with that. I
yeah.
was never overwhelmed because sometimes it was like 5 enemies, but for like 99% of the time, I had never had a problem. And the bosses were cool. The visuals were awesome. The storyline was very it was simple and I had some problems with it, but the ending was very touching and it sounds like it's gonna be a franchise now. So I'm excited to see what they do with this franchise in the future because and the pacing was really good too. So, but I do wish this game. I said before, I wish this game was like, probably like 5 hours longer. Like it needed a little more like a little more not padding, but a little more things to
Story.
depth and story and things like that.
Yeah,
But
there's definitely some of the since my number 3 is Pragmata, I'll just chime in here.
yeah,
I think that there are some moments where they have big story reveals and it's locked behind a collectible or a written audio thing or whatever.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree. There could have been more time to draw out that story.
But the
That
gameplay is
said,
so good though.
but the gameplay is so, and this was my biggest surprise of the year, how good this was.
Yeah,
I knew because IO was behind James Bond that it was probably going to be quality, but I was, and Capcom often makes great products, but I mean, I was so unsure about this gameplay loop, but they sold the hell out of me. Obviously, as we've already talked about, I love Diana. Someday I would like to have kids of my own, and this just really speaks to me about just the importance of like having that relationship with kids. I of course work with kids, so does Seb. So this game really tugged on my heartstrings. I agree with him though; the story's not amazing, but the gameplay is so good. That's why it's so high up on my list. I did cry at the ending until you get the true ending or whatever, which I think is a running theme in this episode of the podcast, actually. But I think the true ending is annoying to get, unsatisfying. It's kind of like Sea of Stars, where they kind of undo a big character story moment but require you to do a whole bunch of effort just to get it.
yeah.
And it just, I don't know. I don't like that. I don't like when commit to the bit. Like either your characters are this or they're not this.
It's a
Right.
trend I don't like,
So that
and
sorry, go ahead.
it's a trend I don't like, and it's largely in Japan. I don't. It,
Yeah.
like they gotta. I don't like this. You have to get this true ending. Like you have to do more
Yeah.
steps. Like I don't like that. Just give me a full.
Just commit to your characters either
Yeah.
suffering, like having a fate or not having a fate. Like
Yeah.
don't do this true ending. Haha, everything's
Yeah.
actually okay.
And the
Anyway,
and the visuals are
that's it for me.
and the visuals are stunning. Like RE
Yes.
Engine really shines. The RE Engine always
RE
shines
Engine
in
never
single player games,
fucking misses.
which we're gonna talk about
Except
coming
in
up
open world games.
as well.
Except in open world
Exactly,
games.
exactly. RE Engine works fantastic in single player linear games, but like in the big
Yes.
ones, it struggles. All right, my number 3 is Forza Horizon 6, which I mean that game is incredible. Like it's one of the most complete games you're gonna get. You're gonna get. Like it's just polish from top to bottom. It's masterpiece level of like if you're in the racing genre, it's the racing game to play. Exploring Japan is incredible. The visuals are just stunning. There's so much to explore and do, and if you love racing games, you're gonna have a blast with this game. This game is endless amount of content. There is a campaign you can beat and stuff like that and all that, but this game is just amazing to drive around. Like it just makes driving around to be really fun. So this is high quality game. This is gonna be my top 10
Yeah.
for sure. Like this is one of the highest rated games
Yeah.
of the year. I
Yeah.
I'm gonna be. It always happens, but they always overlook racing games for game of the year. Like
Yeah, they do.
this really deserves to be in the top 6, but it never is. But it is
Yeah.
that good. Like,
I'm pretty, yeah, I could see that for sure. For speaking for
like
my own
5,
top 10, like
was like that.
I'm pretty confident that my 5 here, like the top 5 games are going to be there throughout the year. Anything after that could move, but I could even see Life is Strange Reunion moving if like those games in the future, like especially in September and October, fucking hit like a truck. Like, if that's the case, then yeah, my top 10 is getting moved around. But anyway, my number 2 is a game that some of you all might not have heard, but I've talked about it before. Esoteric Ebb is my favorite indie of the year.
It's one of our
This
thumbnails.
is Disco Elysium. This is, as far as I'm concerned, this is Disco Elysium's right now true successor. Now, this is as if Terry Pratchett, who wrote Discworld, wrote Disco Elysium and also really loved D&D, which he probably did. It was fantastic. I love the writing. I love the characters. The dice rolls are so funny. It's funny to fail. It's satisfying to fail. The ending is incredible. The twists are great. There's some minor quibbles with, like, you can't save during a conversation. You have to save before it. There's, like, I think I had a bug once. I don't know. Like, at this point, I'm struggling to say anything negative. Like, it's such an amazing game. It has overwhelmingly positive reviews on Steam right now, based on thousands of reviews, which is amazing because it's a total indie based on 7,000 reviews that is overwhelmingly positive. Recent reviews are very positive. Just go play it. It's published by Raw Fury. They do a lot of great stuff.
Yeah.
This is just, if you are missing Disco Elysium in your life and you don't want to be you don't want to be a dead spy or have parades or whatever the fuck, then you should go play this. It's just a phenomenal RPG.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna play it at some point this year. Because
Recommend it.
Disco Elysium is my favorite indie
And
game
it's
ever.
literally 20% off right now. I mean, it's not really applies to you, but it's 20% off right now. It's only $20, which is a fucking steal. I think the game could be a little longer. There could be a little more to do, maybe, but that's really nitpicking.
Yeah. All right, my number 2 is 007 First Light. Love the gameplay. Love the new James Bond. I hope they make more games with him, which they are. I mean, I love the characters. I loved everything about this game. Pretty much. Like, I'm actually kind of forgetting what my negatives were. I think the only thing was the stealth was like barely stealth. I was basically just shooting everybody. Like, the stealth in this game could have been a lot better. Because I felt like it was just like 20. When there's like 15 enemies on screen, how am I supposed to stealth around 15 people? I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna run and gun, and I was actually flying through the content just by doing that. But other than that, like, I loved everything about. Like, I'm a big James Bond fan, but also I'm a big like cinematic third-person action fan. Like, it's my favorite genre in video games. I'm a giant Uncharted fan, and this is like my Uncharted, my next Uncharted game. And like, so obviously this was going to appeal to me. Cinematic, well voice acted, great cutscenes, great characters. I mean, my kind of genre.
Yeah.
Now this will definitely be my top 10. Depending on like how like the year goes. I don't think it's gonna be my number 2 by the end of the year. Like, just so much coming out still, but it's gonna be my top 10 for sure.
All right. Well,
And then
Seb,
finally,
if you want, I don't think this is going to work, but we could say this in unison if you want. But both of our number 1 games is Resident Evil Requiem.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right. I'm not surprised this is Seb's number 1, but I'm a little bit surprised it's mine. But I think this is truly the best Resident Evil game, new Resident Evil game specifically, that we've had, and I don't even know how long. Probably since 4 came out. This is another case similar to Legacy of the Dark Knight, where I'm very impressed how Capcom weaved a lot of tangled threads throughout the Resident Evil franchise. Not always, perfectly necessarily. There's some criticisms of over-reliance on cameos towards the end specifically. But generally speaking, I just think they fucking nailed it. Every time I would even get a smidge tired of Grace's type of gameplay, Leon was there to pick me up. When I got tired of Leon, Grace was there. You can say towards the end it leans a little too heavily on Leon, but even then, it's fucking Leon, and like, I don't know, it was still awesome. I just think this game's amazing. This game's incredible. It's not a 5 out of 5 for me. It's very close. I have some very small issues with it that I've already kind of touched on, but I don't want to belabor. And we can talk more about at the end of the year. But yeah, it's an incredible game, and it's another showing to me that Capcom are truly one of the best AAA developers around right now. They are just all hits, no misses.
Arguably the best.
I know Seb and I have said this before. I'll say it again. If your worst showing in the past few years in the franchise is Resident Evil 3 remake, I mean, you're cooking,
which was
right? Right?
6 years ago. That was 6 years ago.
Yeah, and that was like 6 years ago. They just haven't stopped. They just know what they're fucking doing with Resident Evil, and I'm so excited for the future because it's.
Yeah.
I need sunglasses. It's so
Yeah.
bright.
So
So I'm
yeah,
very happy.
Resident Evil is my favorite franchise, obviously, but like I've only had Resident Evil as my game of the year like twice, and that was like 2005, I guess technically. I mean, I was 12. I wasn't doing top 10 list, but 2019 I had Resident Evil 2 remake as my game of the year. Um, that's it. So I don't think Resident Evil Requiem is gonna finish as my game of the year. Obviously, I mean, there's still got a lot of games coming out with GTA 6, for example. Like it's probably not gonna be my game of the year, but
Yeah.
as of right now, in the midpoint, this is by far the best game of the year for me. I love the
Yeah.
visuals. The RE engine shines as always. I love the characters. Grace was such an amazing new character in the series. I hope they do. I guess you can. I guess you can probably wrap her character up. I think. I think they close her character very well. Like, I don't know where you can go with
Yeah.
her at this point. Um, so I would be fine if they don't do anything new with her. But that said, Grace was incredible. She was such an amazing character. And then Leon, of course, my favorite, my goat. He's one of my favorite characters ever in all video games.
Same.
I've always been a
Yep.
big Leon fan since like I was a little kid, and he shines. Like, he's an older man, but I love the mix between first person horror. I feel like Resident Evil 7 with Grace's sections, and then you get into Leon's section as Resident Evil 4 remake. Gameplay is amazing. It's so much fun. There's so many amazing settings, amazing moments, storyline, mostly really great. The ending kind of falls apart a little bit, a little too much, you know,
Fan service.
fan service. But going back to Raccoon City was such a treat for me, especially as a big fan. I got all the references and the Easter eggs and things like that. It was a game for me. As of right now, it's my game of the year. It's an incredible game.
Yeah.
Go and play it. It's a must play, and it
For
runs
for
flawlessly
me,
on the Switch too. So as
I
well.
think for me, I'm not sure. I mean, if Wolverine absolutely fucking crushes it, it could be my game of the year. If Phantom Blade Zero, which I'm heavily anticipating, if that crushes it, that definitely could be my game of the year. I struggle to think of anything for me personally that could be Resident Evil. It's possible though. Maybe some fucking disco like or indie comes out of nowhere and just like surprises me. I mean, Esoteric Ebb is very close to being my game of the year, but just misses it by a bit because I love Resident Evil so much. So as opposed to Seb, I'm not sure if this won't be my game of the year by the end of the year. And I've had Resident Evil. I want to say Resident Evil 4 remake was my game of the year, or at least very close to being my game of the year when the year came out.
It's
But yeah, I'm not sure. We'll see. I'm more hesitant on saying that it won't be my game of the year by the end, but we will find out through Phantom Blade Zero, Wolverine, Resident. There's other huge games too that I'm missing. That I'm excited for. Trails Chapter 2. Trails Chapter 2. I'm excited for that.
Really, what it comes down to is GTA 6.
That's the difference between Seb and I. I'm not playing GTA 6, so it doesn't affect me.
Like, I'm looking at all the list of games coming out, and I don't see anything probably gonna. I mean, it could beat it. I'm saying I don't see any of these games probably beating Resident Evil 9 for me. So
yeah,
at the very least, it's gonna be my second favorite game of the year. It's either gonna be my game of the year or my second, most likely. It depends on GTA 6. Like, GTA 6 might be a masterpiece, like 97 out of 100, kind of like that kind of level of game, which I expect.
Yeah,
it's
I expect as well. Yeah,
but or it's going to be a little disappointing, but still an amazing, incredible game. It's going to be my top 10.
Sure,
because this happened.
I think the lowest side tangent, but I think the lowest GTA 6 realistically gets is like a 90 or something.
Yeah. Because this happened in 2018, where God of War came out in spring, and it was my game of the year all year. And then I was waiting for Red Dead Redemption. Or am I mixing it up? Either way, Red Dead Redemption 2 is a masterpiece. I think it's one of the greatest games ever made. And yet I still had God of War 2018 over it as my game of the year. And that's how good God of War was to me. So there could be that next game that I think is hot. Resident Evil Requiem could be my God of War. In a year where I expect Red Dead to win the game of the year for me, Resident Evil Requiem might be the game that beats GTA 6 for me. So it really depends. I love Resident Evil Requiem that much. So we'll see.
Yeah.
All right. That's that. that concludes our episode. Thanks for watching, everybody, in our 3-hour episode. This is by far our longest episode we've ever done.
Yeah,
And
this is pretty long.
although not the
Well, that's what
longest.
happens when we do
Yeah.
every other week, plus a ton of news happens.
Yeah.
So
No, I don't. If we in this format, I don't think it's going to be as long like this. Like we had a lot of news to cover.
yeah, well, I think that was like I said, that was the problem. Is like
Yeah.
there a lot of news happened after Summer Games Fest. So
Yeah, and I'm not going to be reviewing a controller every week or anything like that either. So
yeah,
just a lot of things happen. It's June. Now the news is going to start really winding down. Now there's not
Yeah.
much else to talk about. It's just,
and
it's gonna be
also
games.
it's not like we're gonna keep talking about studio closures over and over again. Like eventually, it's just like
Yeah.
there's not much to say. It's sad. It sucks. I hope they land on their feet.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the rest of the episodes this year is going to be very, it's going to be very spotlight heavy until Gamescom, which is August, and then a lot of game heavy again, and then Game of the Awards, and then top 10 lists. So
yeah.
All right. Thanks for watching, everybody. You all have a good night. I appreciate you guys sitting through this long episode. Not even the longest episode we ever recorded. We've done a 4-hour episode before.
Yeah.
Not in this podcast.
But definitely up there, top 5.
Yeah, top 5. All right. Take care, everybody. Peace.
Bye, everybody.
Happy summer.